Sir? I'm gonna need you to go ahead and put that seat up for me.
Why?
Safety protocol, sir. Please, seat in the upright position.
This is for safety?
Absolutely, that's what I just said.
Dude, it's kind of embarrassing. I can't, it's tough to fit. I can't fit with it. If with the back, it helps.
Yeah, you're having a tough time fitting in that seat. Maybe you should take better care of your body.
Are you a psycho, dude?
Sir, I'm trying to keep safety protocols in place and doing this for your own good.
Oh, whoa. It does feel safer.
Is there a problem here, sir?
I'm fine.
Sensing a lot of attitude from you. I just wonder if I've got to go get the captain.
What are you going to tell the captain? We got a guy reclining back there. The fuck's he going to do? Turn it around?
He might.
He might emergency land this thing because I took a nap.
He might.
Is that what did 9/11? 19 fucking dudes reclining?
Did you just say 9/11?
Oh boy, we got a guy reclining.
Sir, can I get you something to drink? Maybe a Diet Coke?
Does your dad know you do this shit?
How about some peanuts? You could scoop them out of my hand, you big elephant.
You know, it used to be fucking hot ladies that had your job.
Way down.
The fuck's wrong with
A
you?
little of this, a lot less back.
What are you talking about?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Upright. Keep it upright. I'll see you on landing.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the flight deck, this is your captain speaking. It appears we've lost the left engine. Not to worry, we have two engines. This plane is built to be flown with just one engine, and there is no way... fuck. There goes the second engine. If you have someone you'd like to call, I would advise that you do so now.
It's Mom. Mom, listen. I'm gonna have to call Dad, okay? Is Dad there?
I'm not gonna get it.
Just tell him I love him, okay?
But I love you. I'll tell Papa you love him too.
This Rick's auto body? Yeah? It's a shame with the fucking red Subaru. Yeah, you guys fucking suck at your job. I'm gonna come down there and beat the fuck out of you, you fucking stupid bitch. Alright, I'll be down in 10 minutes. Get ready. You better start stretching. I'm gonna fucking wear you out, dumbass. 10 minutes. Parking lot, pussy.
Excuse me?
What? Calling people I fucking hate.
Did you have loved ones to call?
Am I gonna call my wife and kids? Listen to her fucking bitch at me for the last 5 minutes? Fuck that. I'm about to die, dude. She's gonna fuck someone else, like this year. That fucking pisses me off a little bit.
Haley, just a minute.
What are you gonna tell her? Oh! Nobody wants to hear their fucking mom die. $100 she's putting on Netflix in 1 hour. Actually, fuck it, I'll bet you $1 billion. Call someone you hate and really fuck their shit up. Give it a shot, dude. God just gave us a gift. Try it.
Haley, put your dad on the phone.
Hey, Mom, I'll talk to you later.
Okay, everybody, stay calm.
No.
And we're gonna brace.
How about I relax instead, dickhead?
Do not put that back. Do not put that back.
Oh.
Sir, get that seat up.
Hey, Dave. Fuck you.
You know, I love you, and I knew it from the moment I married you. You'd ruin my life, you dumb bitch.
Remember 07 when I had to go see you in the hospital and you thought I was smiling because I was happy to see you? I thought you was dead.
Yeah, I'm dying. The plane's crashing, so fuck you.
Oh, stop going out with your friends. You stay out too late.
Yeah, learn how to fucking end a story. Jesus Christ.
I remember you. You're a Night of the Living Dummy. Goosebumps.
Of course you read Goosebumps, you fucking dumbass.
Ventriloquist looking ass bitch.
I do not look like a ventriloquist dummy.
I know we're probably dying, but if you Google that was a good reference.
Sir, do not fart in the intercom.
I just put my nudes on Instagram
Yo, you're crazy.
and tagged all my kids.
I'm gonna die. You know I'm trying to make someone come.
How come?
What? Who said that? Marco.
We're gonna make it.
No.
What the fuck?
Oh, shit.
You don't know what I tweeted.
Are you fucking joking me?
Crush this fucking blade!
I was just kidding.
We're all gonna die.
Yeah, Ape Cage in this motherfucker. Candy paint dripping, bass hitting like a fist fight. Boom, 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 boom. Little mama wanna ride with a door tonight. Hop in the Chevy, let the bass line fight. Ride with me. Window down while we blow that smoke. Ass poking out while she ride real slow. Yeah. Little mama wanna slide through the city with me. Bad little bitch wanna get lit with me. Come on. You said you like other motherfuckers. Prove that shit, cause tonight we outside on some fool ass shit. Look, can it paint wet like the beach just cried? 24 spin while the trunk outside. Bass hit hard, made the stop sign shake. Whole block know when the squad gon' skid. I got a thick little red bone holding my cup. Talking about she tryna leave a man fucked up. I said shit, that ain't my business though. Pass her the blunt, now she rolling slow. Gold in my mouth when I grin too hard. Valet nervous when I bought that car. Middle of the summer with the top lean back. Whole club smell like loud and yak. Lil' mama bad with her jeans too tight. Talk slick and I'ma beat that up tonight. She said damn, you reckless as fuck. I said baby, that's why you stuck. Whole lot of ass in the parking lot. Whole lot of bass made the call out now. Whole lot of broke boys mad outside cause that girl tryna slide in the passenger. I'ma wanna ride with a good night, good night. Hop in the Chevy, hit the baseline fight. Ride with me. Windows down while we blow that smoke, blow that smoke. Ass poking out while she ride real slow. Yeah. Little mama wanna slide through the city with me, city with me. Bad little bitch wanna get lit with me. Come on. You said you like other motherfuckers. Prove that shit, cause tonight we outside on some fool ass shit. Big body Chevy with the suede inside. Rim so clean, make a man look fried. I got Henny in my cup and smoke in there. Two bad bitches pulling all on my hair. Baseline nasty like the trunk got angle. Parking lot junk like a damn gang banger. I ain't tryna cuddle, I'm tryna vibe. Hit the room later if the move feel right. She like damn, why your voice so calm? Cause I done seen too much to panic mom. Whole squad outside looking dangerous. Girls go crazy when the chain swings stainless. You can bring your friend and she thick too. Backseat lit like a damn strip room. Neon lights on the chrome all shining. Whole damn block hit a sun start whining. Police ride past but they don't say shit. Cause the whole damn city know the motherfuckers wide. I got one hand gripping wood grain steering. Another hand on the thigh while the baseline tearing.
Ride slow, ride slow, bass slow, bass slow, bass slow, bass slow.
Ride slow.
Ride slow, ride slow, bass slow, bass slow, bass slow, bass. Ride slow, ride slow, bass slow, bass slow, bass slow.
Lil' mama climbed in the ceiling back. Perfume mixing with the weed smoke black. Told me she tired of these broke ass clowns. Wanna ride with a boss when the sun go down. I said shit, buckle up then ride. Hit the gas, make the whole damn freeway slide. Trump bang hard like a fight downstairs. Old heads mad but the young hoe stare. She got gloss on the lips, ain't licking in the vein. Tryna grind on me while I switch them lanes. I'm too lit, too gone, too faded. Still got that whole damn parking lot waiting. Club owner tryna get us inside. Cause when we pull up, all the bottles get fly. Lil' mama figure with a mean little walk. Talk nasty to me when she hear me talk. She said, damn, you smell like smoking cash. I said, baby girl, that's that hustler splash. Whole city know how the squad gon' move. Late night rides with the bass on bruise. Can the paint dripping on the street like glow. Everybody outside when the Chevys roll slow. Got the M turned up and the windows crack. Every ex-girl mad when they see me pass. I ain't worried about shit, but tonight getting lit with a badass bitch on some wild south shit.
Ride slow, ride slow, Ape Cage.
Ape Cage.
They still knocking. Ride slow, ride slow.
Window fogged up.
Chevy still coming.
Welcome to the AMC Ape Cage.
And welcome. Finally, no more technical issues, no more bullshit. We have everything set up correctly. The chat should be working correctly. The volume should be working correctly now. Everything should be working perfectly. And now it's all running through Discord, which is kind of a new thing for us, evidently. But still.
Are you talking?
Yeah, I'm sure I'm talking, my friend.
James.
Yeah, Matt, go ahead and unmute and mute again.
I'm just fucking with you. I can hear you.
Okay, good. Well, don't do that right now. I
know.
I have no idea how much of a shit I was about to flip with doing that, considering what we've been through so far, just for a technical aspect, and what I've had to deal with outside of that, which is just a whole nother fucking story in itself. But welcome to the new improved Ape Cage. So what we have here, just so you guys understand what we got going on, is that we're running through Discord. So if you guys want to join Discord and listen to us on there, you're more than welcome to. If you guys want to go ahead and, whatever shit I decide to add on here, which is going to be music, which is going to be some of the videos that I create and all that, so that this way you guys can see those, have those for whenever you want them. Besides that, yeah, this server's directly for you guys. So this way you don't have to worry about any bullshit or anybody going in here and, giving you shit, because that's not what the intention is here. The intention is for you guys to learn and you guys to understand. So this is kind of like a bridge from, if you're a part of the Ape Cage knowledge seeker community, this is a bridge into that. So just so you guys understand that. And, one of us will be in here most of the time, probably me, when it comes to loading stuff in. So if you do have any questions or anything like that, it's a nice way for you to give a direct answer. So that link that I've given you out, still ask a question for you to get in. So volume is slightly lower than expected. So do me a favor, just turn up your volume a little bit more, because that's not with me, unfortunately. I wish it was, but I could do that. And there you go. Make it that much more better or gooder for you. And so this way I sound
more ridiculous than I already do.
Anywho,
usually I'm the one with the volume issues, but
hey,
volume's good on my end.
Hey, well, you know what? This is coming from the U of Tubi, so it's fine. Listen, we're gonna go through some just intermediate bumps to start off. Listen, I've been 2 days in this and trying to make sure that everything is actually correct from our standpoint.
And we got a programmer that got the bugs fixed in 15 minutes.
Oh, I mean, it was amazing, honestly, because whatever happened previously with the previous programmer that we had, didn't know how to, arrange the sliders correctly on my board, didn't know where to put certain things. So, like, I'm still learning some of the production side of things while we're actually streaming live at the same time. So,
no, because he had the channels all crossed, they were getting feedback loops, which was what we were getting that trucker sound from.
Yeah, and which this way you guys were having your issues when it came to overall why, oh, hey, this isn't coming up or this isn't happening. So that was one of the reasons. So, and why you heard echoes, or my voice was echoing, or Matt's voice was echoing, and that was because
or videos had no volume at all.
Yeah, so
because it was going through a channel that wasn't being streamed.
It wasn't actually there to begin with. So, which is interesting. But regardless, all that's been fixed. I've taken care of the majority of this, and I want to give you guys the best of the best and making this the best show that it could possibly be. So that's my ultimate goal. So hopefully I've provided you with that. And so
two other things that were fixed too, that was the now we're running a delay feed so that you have less refresh buffering for the feed,
which is nice.
And there's something else I was going to say too that we.
I just lost my chain of thought. Oh, damn.
Yeah, I lost it. I had to, but
that's all right. Shit happens. That's that's why they made a bumper sticker, right?
It ain't fucking killing my battery in fucking 10 minutes anymore.
Hey, that's a benefit in itself. Now you don't have to worry about throwing your phone in the refrigerator or freezer.
Yeah, or overheating and running dead. And
so you don't have that. So you don't have that problem. So, which is nice. So I'm gonna kind of steer this into. So, what caused me to do all this? And so there was an instance last week, and hence why we had to do everything on the, on a space call, was somebody hacked my computer, blatantly hacked my computer and started deleting all my writing that I have. So now when I do something, I have a backup for the backup of the backup. So like this way that I don't lose anything. And once I get done writing something, I normally end up posting it directly into a website where it's basically has a lock on it from the outside, which I'm the only one that has a password for. And there's a reason behind that, just because this is going to be the actual ape story, the AMC Ape story. So what he did though, and what he was able to do, which was completely perplexing, because one, we thought we stopped him earlier. Then afterwards, he ended up getting back into my computer. This was on Saturday night or Sunday night, Matt, which I think it was Sunday night. He ended up getting into my computer again on Sunday night. And I was literally fighting with him on the mouse. Like, no joke. Like, I was pulling the mouse all the way right while he's sitting there trying to get into certain, like my Capital One account, for example, and started trying to literally trying to go in this. I'm watching him do all of this and have this recorded. So this way I could go and actually show the bank that, hey, this wasn't me. Look. And so I did all this, and, the programmer, who honestly went above and beyond everything that we could have asked for, Matt and I at least, and went above and beyond for me, and just went ahead and installed all this secondary security along with it's basically a spike. So if someone were to try and access my computer and it doesn't recognize the actual IP address that it's originally originating from, it's going to send this thing called a spike. That spike goes directly into his computer and basically shuts down everything that he has, period. So kind of nice, maybe a little too late, ended up losing some money. That's okay. Bank is not giving me a credit, but they are going to reverse the charges once they figure out that it's not me. So besides that, I got that going for me, but we now have this all fixed, and this is all where it should be. I don't have to worry about security because I have it all on here, and we're all good to go. But a lot of this, and what I witnessed and what I kind of went through on this little adventure, is what I'm going to call it for right now, is that we're on another type of adventure. And that adventure, and I hope to kind of prove that to you and show you tonight within the writing, is that there really is no superior political overhead of anything. The Senate, the House, the president, vice president, whoever, the cabinet, doesn't matter. They are just your puppeteers, and they're just giving you the show. That's all they're doing. And it's honestly sickening, because what we're about to go over, and a lot of the things that I was able to kind of pin together in all this, was how this correlates to AMC and GME. And that is your AI bubble. That is also your SpaceX, which, with their inclusion into the S&P 500 along with the NASDAQ 100. The other part of this is the show. And I'm going to call it the show because this is what you're supposed to be paying attention to. You're not supposed to be paying attention to everything else that's going on. You're supposed to just pay attention to this, because this is what's most important, is this supposed peace deal with Iran. Now, Matt, did that actually happen or not yet? Do you know?
There's contradiction everywhere on that.
Okay. Because I've been seeing on my feed, oh my God, it's supposed to happen in the next 90 seconds, and we're supposed to have 90% best deal offering of ceasefire for this war ever created because it, yeah. What? I've never. How are you like profiting off of a ceasefire? I mean, it wasn't the issue oil to begin with, and the issue is still oil to begin with. And I see tweets that are, oh my God, the oil per barrel has dropped below $90. I'm like, where? Have you seen the actual ceasefire? Has that actually come to fruition yet? And as Matt alluded to, the answer is no. There's no straight answer of if this has actually happened, is this is going to, be the final concrete thing that's just going to say war over. Let's get energy and oil back to where it's supposed to go, because we don't need 200 ships that are supposed to be coming into the United States dropping off 2 million barrels of oil each ship, which when I heard was almost ridiculous. I mean, I don't think we can, I don't even think the harbors could actually account for that many barrels of oil per ship. Matt, am I totally off thinking by saying that, or is this just, I mean,
No, you're not off at all. And not only that, they'd just be sitting on our shorelines waiting for refineries capacity to be able to take it. And they can't take it. What the fuck are they going to do with it?
I mean, and let's be honest here. When you just start a refinery or reopen a refinery, it's not like, oh, hold on. It's not like I went and go Gandalf on this refinery and all of a sudden, poof, it's producing oil. Like you have to find it. Like it doesn't just happen. Like it has to be cleaned. It has to be cycled through. It has its own progression, which can take months. Folks, I mean, you're looking at fastest time, I would say 7 months. And that's being ultra enthusiastic, not optimistic prime. We're talking about ultra enthusiastic number of when this could actually be open and ready to go. So I don't see how that's a possibility. It still points to, regardless, that the strategic oil reserve is still completely out of fucking oil come July 4th. Regardless, and if the ceasefire was actually, hoopla, which I kind of think it is, that's what you're looking at still. There's still no answer to that. There's still no answer. And I don't think there's going to be. And Matt, when we were talking earlier, and you're 100% correct on this assessment, I don't think Israel is going to let us do nothing or allow us to be able to do nothing, because they control what happens.
A ceasefire deal between us and Iran has nothing to do with what Israel does or doesn't do reactionary to that. And we're in this whole mess because of Israel. I mean, you can say it was Palestine, you can say it was Gaza, you can say it was Iran and their proxies, whatever. But we're here because of the acts of October 6th and then the retaliation by Israel. So we can sit here and pedal third wheel and say whatever about ceasefires or negotiations between us and Iran. But that ain't gonna fucking change whatever Israel's initiatives are. And Israel's initiatives are 100% as they unchanged, that they want Iran gone.
Okay, so this kind of leads into another thing that I've noticed, just casually noticed, because I'm a casual observer most of the time. I like to peek into spots where they don't want me to look, just because. And I'm going to tell you the other thing that I think is very, very funny is that all day yesterday, when they were talking about this SpaceX, I'm going to kind of convert the conversation into SpaceX here for a second. But, and trust me, we're going to get a lot more in depth into what's really happening there. But the problem that I have is that yesterday on the TV show Bobbleheads, it's where you have the comedic geniuses that sit in, a round circle. You got Kramer, you got the other guy, the other old guy, you got the other bobblehead over here, the Asian bobblehead that says the quiet part out loud and the loud part quiet. And all of a sudden you start seeing who's on TV, but like almost the entire day. But Citadel's on the TV probably 90% of the time, all day yesterday, in regards to the SpaceX merger. Now, what is funny about that, and I'm just connecting dots here, folks, is that who was sitting in one of them boxes during the World Cup with Elon during the same time? Oh yeah, the Mayo was sitting right there with him, talking about why he's going to need funds to basically go ahead and buy Twitter. Who helped fund that? Citadel sure did. Apollo did too, right, Matt?
I just say Citadel and Partners.
Yeah, that works. Citadel and Partners, that works. Way to go on that one. Hold on. We need to come up with the overall, like the Citadel, the crime syndicate, or the laughing stock, or whatever. We need to come up with something along those lines just for the next parody video that we're going to make. But
the only person I've seen a lot, it seems to have as much to say as good old Kenny, fucking Jamie Dimon. I don't know what the fuck he's going on about, but he's been everywhere too lately.
Oh yeah, he's babbling about crypto and crypto's going to take over the dominance of the dollar and blah 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 blah. He just sounds like nonsense. I mean, on every channel that he's been on, just straight nonsense. But I find it very interesting.
I thought he was retiring, stepping down or whatever.
Yeah, sure. Maybe. On the second Tuesday of next week, that's when he's retiring. Don't worry about it. But here's the part I find it very interesting and kind of odd, is that here's the guy that helped fund Get Twitter. Where is he on the TV talking about how this merger between, or not merger, but talking about this inclusion of SpaceX into the S&P 500 and how they have to go ahead and they have to take care of some rules. And all of a sudden this comes into this. But now here's another thing that was proposed yesterday live on TV. Now, these two companies have nothing to do with each other, but merging Tesla with SpaceX. And here's the bigger problem, is the actual market cap and the initial offering of this IPO. So SpaceX by itself, okay, you got a market cap of like $3.5 trillion. So it'd be about 1.25 or 1.375 roughly for an initial IPO offering. Now, here's the crazy part. Now, if you go with merge Tesla with SpaceX, now you have a $3.5 trillion initial offering with a $7.5 trillion market cap. Folks, you wanted to know where the liquidity was going to come from? Bingo. It is right there.
You're talking about coming right out of the chutes.
Yeah.
With a 30 times PE ratio.
Mm-hmm. They're talking about this right now. I mean, literally right now, you know, on one of those basically, what is it? You know, those accounts that like all of a sudden they tweeted something and then, oh my God, they got 700,000 followers after they tweeted one thing that might have been accurate. Might. One of them just posted about this merger idea happening and how 99% of people will basically wither and fall because of this. And that's the fear-mongering part. But regardless, this is the stuff that we're talking about here because I want you guys to really understand the why behind this. This is what makes all of this important. And it's still making it important today. It really is. Just to show you how big of a clown show this is, I have to give you all baby government.
What would the use be of repeating the bombing? You did it for 38 days. No, we did. And you did not get the political changes in Iran. I had a total military victory with the fake news. Guys like you write incorrectly. You're a fake guy. Guys like you write about it incorrectly. We had a total military victory. We knocked out their entire Navy. We knocked out their entire Air Force. We knocked out all of their anti-aircraft weaponry. We knocked out all of their radar. We knocked out all of their leaders, number one, and then we knocked out all of their leaders in the 2nd Division, and we knocked out numerous of their leaders in the 3rd Division, and they're very confused. We've had a total victory, except like people like you that don't write the truth. You know, you should write. I actually think it's sort of treasonous what you write, but you and the New York Times and CNN, I would say, are the worst. Another wall. You should know better. Your editors tell you what to write, and you write it. You should be ashamed of it. This is another wall. I actually think it's treason. When you write like they're doing well militarily and they have no Navy, no Air Force, no anti-anything. By the way, we knocked out 85% of their manufacturing for missiles. We knocked out everything. We haven't knocked out other than one bridge that we did because they misbehaved. But we have bridges we could knock out. We could knock out their bridges and their electrical capacity within 2 days. We can knock out the whole thing. And then I read the New York Times and they act like they're doing well. Everybody does it. That's why your subscribers are way down. You know, the Times subscribers are way down because it's fake.
Well, President Xi, I want to thank you very much. First of all, that was an honor like few have ever seen before. And I think I was particularly impressed by those children. They were happy. They were beautiful. The military is obvious. It couldn't be better, but those children were amazing and they represent so much. And I know they represent so much to you. You and I have known each other now for a long time. In fact, the longest relationship of our two countries that any president and president has had. and that's to me an honor. We've had a fantastic relationship. We've gotten along. When there were difficulties, we worked it out. I would call you, and you would call me, and whenever we had a problem, people don't know, whenever we had a problem, we worked that out very quickly. We're going to have a fantastic future together. Such respect for China, the job you've done. You're a great leader. I say it to everybody. You're a great leader. Sometimes people don't like me saying it, but I say it anyway because it's true. I only say the truth. And I just want to say, on behalf of all of the great delegation that we have the greatest businessmen, the biggest, and I guess the best in the world. We have amazing people, and they're all with me. Every single one of them. We asked the top 30 in the world, every single one of them said yes. And I didn't want the second or the third in the company. I wanted only the top. And they're here today to pay respects to you and to China. And they look forward to trade and doing business. And it's going to be totally reciprocal on our behalf. So I really look very much forward to our discussion. It's a big discussion. There are those that say this is maybe the biggest summit ever. They can never remember anything like it. I can say in the United States, people aren't talking about anything else. But it's an honor to be with you. It's an honor to be your friend. And the relationship between China and the USA is going to be better than ever before.
Oh, the other part of this, which I don't understand, and Matt, you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but is the amount of ass kissing that's happening right now is just, I mean, immense. Like, he's got his nose so shoved up that Chinese president's ass that he could probably call it ice cream. I mean, and the funny part about it all is that when they talked to NVIDIA, the first thing the president said was, or for the Chinese president said was, well, we're going to make our own. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, it don't make any logical sense to me whatsoever.
I mean, you wanted us to, the United States, to literally pull up to a foreign country that we are always in contradictions with, don't see the same. We show up in a clown car, and in that clown car is packed in 30 of the #1 CEOs to go try and sell the president of China. And guess what?
The part I don't get is the fact that it wasn't very long ago, and they're still touting how China has backdoor thievery of our technology and access to all this hardware that they supplied us, that we stupidly cornered ourselves into their market on. And you're just going to go over there and be like, oh, yeah, we're good.
I mean,
what the fuck are you doing?
We got this. I mean, just this is the Gong Show. Where's the hook? I mean, honestly, just pull the hook, because this is the biggest political farce that you could possibly have. But this is the point that I'm trying to make.
And you got Mr. Wonderful even out there talking about, these international players literally infiltrating social media and narrative, and they got like they're out of our jurisdiction. You can't do nothing about it, but you're not putting any pressure on their own governments to stop it.
No, but that's the whole point. Matt, it's the political theater. It's to get you distracted. It's to have you not look. It's to have you not think, not do what your mind is telling you. Hey, I smell a fire because this is not supposed to be burning like it is, but it is. I don't know why, but he's telling me to watch this, so I'm just going to watch this. That's exactly what they're doing. Don't look here. Look there. Don't look there. Look up. The sky isn't blue. It's purple. The grass isn't green. It's turquoise. I mean, that's exactly what they're saying. And they're please. And then don't get me started on, and to counter all this, and I'm telling you, this is exactly what happened, verbatim. There's no way it didn't happen any other way than this. Here's our Secretary of Treasury going to talk to the Japanese Prime Minister and talk to the Japanese President of Finance, or whatever the hell he wants to title himself. And here's what he said. Please be to God, do not sell our treasuries. I am on my hands and knees. You cannot sell our treasuries in the open market, because if you do, we are fucked.
We're fucked anyhow.
I understand that, but that's exactly what he was doing. He was on his hands and knees begging. And this is the one thing that you talked about specifically. Why is the United States, the home of the free, home of the brave, sitting there and trying to appease Japan and China? No offense.
We're the center of global finance and consumerism.
We're supposed to be.
Kowtowing to these manufacturer nations of shit that they won't be able to sell without it.
Correct. So, but we are going to bend over on our hands and knees and say, please don't insert here. That might hurt. That's what we're looking at. We're bending over backwards for something that we shouldn't have to bend over backwards for. At all. As Matt alluded to, we're the epicenter of consumerism. We buy everything. If we're not buying it, guess what? That gets scrapped, a new idea comes in. That's it. And we buy that. And that's how the cycle works. If we're not spending, guess what the government is doing? Not collecting. And if you look out there, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. We are definitely not spending like we used to. Why? Because everything is more expensive. Hence why you see all these stores that are boarded up. Hence why you see all of these mom and pop shops that had to close.
All these mainstream Wall Street fucking industries are making record fucking profits on less product.
That's because it's also priced out of the regions of most individuals.
But yeah, because most individuals can't afford to buy it anyhow. So
no,
the people that can afford to buy it are paying more, which is dragging everything up with it, because they need to maintain profit margins on manufacturing costs.
No, I agree. 100%.
And if you can't do it by volume sell, you do it by price sell.
Absolutely. So it's terrible what's happening, but does it stop there? No, it doesn't. But as always, I have to do it because I just have to. It's my favorite segment. It's time for Dum Dum of the Week.
In the shadows of the city where the lost souls creep, I'm the king of the gutter. Watch me as I read. Yeah, this is my kingdom. Welcome to Dum Dum of the Week.
Oh, he's perfect! No, we are not doing this again! Not another one!
Wait, what's going on?
Yo, I'm a dance espacio.
He has no idea, does he?
Not a single clue.
This is already a disaster.
I think I know what I'm doing. I think I know what I'm doing.
So, what exactly makes you an expert?
I read a post.
That's it?
Yeah. It had a lot of likes. Where? Where did you do your research?
I did my research. On X.
Oh no.
There it is. That's not research! That's not how this work works! He said X! He really said X!
It made sense to me. Confidence beats facts.
You really believe that?
Yeah, it feels right.
Oh, this is incredible. I can't do this.
So your entire belief system comes from one post?
It had a lot of likes.
That's your evidence?
That's enough for me.
That's unstoppable. This is painful. You can't just believe everything you see.
He absolutely can, apparently.
You're also the best one.
You're overthinking. This is basic thinking.
No, let him cook. I want to see where this goes.
It's really not that complicated.
Trust me, bro.
Trust me, bro. Trust me, bro. Alright.
Here we go.
Trust me, bro.
Oh, this is gonna be good.
This guy again?
I actually know what I'm doing. Go on.
Oh, this is painful.
This guy is completely wrong! I told you, I'm basically a genius.
Wow, that's actually impressive.
Stop talking! And that's your dumb of the week.
Oh my god!
I can't do this anymore! In the shadows of the...
So, Dumb of the Week. I love that song. That is my favorite song. And it's just comical because it's just, you find the retards on X and it's great because it's something I love doing anyway. Matt, as always, you can kick it off, my friend.
Yeah, I wasn't really fully prepared, but I do have one in mind. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do it. And I'm gonna go with the Mr. Leary. Because he posted a whole thing about how social media is being infiltrated by AI bot accounts and how he noticed his DM and responses and stuff unnaturally high in an unnatural amount of time. So he got all his tech bros or whatever together to get together and investigate. And what he found was just a few outlying companies that are controlling huge, vast quantities of shadow accounts, which are and profiles that are making up a majority of his social media traffic, DMs, responses, likes, whatnot. So now he's digging even further and he's connecting it to certain financial institutions and political campaign donation lobby groups and stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, all right, it does sound very dumb, But the thing is that he's like connecting them to foreign entities. So it's like, okay, so you did all these resources, great. You proved what everybody already knows. How much did you spend to do that? And what I don't get is what's the point? Nothing's going to change. They're not going to do anything about it. They can't do anything about it because it's out of jurisdiction, right? They haven't done anything about it. And he's like, oh, we're going to Congress and there's all kinds of investigations going on in there. Look, you're investigating, you're putting your resources into investigating international, social media, AI bot account interference in order to what? Not do anything anyhow? You can't take care of the fucking problems that we have going on within your jurisdiction, but you want to, put all your resources in some Indian bot office that's running social media influence hacks that you can't stop. You can't stop the fucking Indian people from calling my house trying to sell us solar panels. I don't get it. Like, there's better use of resources and time that could actually have real time cause and effect and benefit right now. And this is where they're choosing to go. So, I mean, that's my dum dum.
Well,
Way to prove the obvious.
Back in 1906, I used to wear an onion on my belt because that was the style at the time. And give me 5 Bs for a quarter because I'm dumb. Dumb, 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 dumb.
That was pretty dumb. I mean, you basically just you cracked the case wide open for the shadow accounts and who's a bot and who's a cyborg and who's you're an idiot. Because that's how your whole side gets away with whatever they're doing by swaying people's mind and judgment. Wow. 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 I am going to go back a little bit because I have to. And I'm still going at this was one of the reasons as to why I went so hard after Nachi, because it's one of the things that it bothers me is that when you tell people that you have given proof, you've given evidence, you've talked about certain things, but you were always able to bring receipts to wherever you went, wherever you go, and so on and so forth throughout his space calls and everything else. I can't say that I've had the pleasure of sitting through one of those, but I know that there's not any receipts because he would have posted them. Because if you have evidence, normally the person posts the receipt. Instead, what you get is this. Follow my timeline. I told you the story was being written in the option chain, the filings, and the institutional positioning around AMC. If you listen to the haters' noise on the app instead of accumulating, that's on you. The irony. A lot of loudest people attacking me in the community were the same ones selling covered calls to accumulate shares. That strategy works until it doesn't. The game punishes arrogance. So stop guessing and start learning. For over 5 years, my message has never changed. I want the people to win. I have no Discord. I sell no products. I don't monetize this account. I shut down my podcast because they wanted me to commercialize my voice. I have been approached by grifters, opportunists, and thieves trying to buy my influence through me numerous times. I can't be bought. I'm too old for this shit. I know the game. I know the players more than I want to. And I know retail can win. What we are watching is a battle between improving fundamentals and a market structure built on hookers and thieves, all in a bet bankruptcy. They used taxpayers' PPP money and were promised a Sears and Toys R Us, Radio Shack, and BBBY But nope, they didn't get A to the M to the C. The hookers and thieves made an all-in bet that AMC would die. Now they are trapped in a position that becomes more dangerous the stronger the company gets. That's why this matters. This isn't just a ticker, it's a powder keg and market that cannot afford retail owning a lion's share of the public company. And I told you 10 days ago the setup was forming. I said, learn the PCR ratios, learn volume versus OI, and what happens when they closely align to low levels. I said, learn to read the filings, although the progression that gave AMC a clean title. I don't know what he's talking about there, but that's okay. The story has been there since the private bondholder meeting in January, and since the successor clause showed up in the 2024 filings. I told you they would walk the price down and build a betrayal ramp. That needed fear, that needed doubt, they needed retail divided, and now big money will betray big money because retail did not capitulate. But I have always been mission over ego, mission over popularity, mission over profit, and I've proven it repeatedly. Now the board is set, now the pressure is building, now we go win this war. I don't understand the metaphors. I don't understand why you can't be direct. I don't understand why you can't go ahead and actually just say what it is you're talking about, because the hookers and thieves concept is way past us now. You need to tie that to an actual subject, or, like proper grammar, like a noun. And then afterwards, then we should go ahead and then back that by actual paper receipts, because the bondholders that were giving money to AMC actually helped them survive what they needed to survive through. And then magically, oh my God, bondholders just want to know that they're getting paid. What a concept.
You're also not adding the fact that a lot of them bondholders no longer are in custody of them bonds because of the new restructure that put it in UBS
in
Deutsche Bank.
Deutsche Bank. Correct. So where's this the hooker to the thief to the betrayal to the trip to the up of the down of the left and right, and where are we at?
I was waiting for him to ride the IMAX wave.
That would have been
buyout
perfect.
Because he was so, they're whitewashing for a merger acquisition of some sort. They're white, right?
But that would have been perfect. That would have been the absolute perfect setup to the icing on the cake.
I mean, we literally had an earnings call, and then Adam goes out and buys shares. If there was any kind of meeting between, talking about a merger acquisition or buyout or anything like that,
he wouldn't be buying
Adam
shares.
Aaron would have been locked back down from buying shares for non-material or material non-public information.
100%.
So everybody that was jumping on that whole IMAX is shopping, that's a fucking media rumor set to get everybody hyped up, whatever, on or questioning or look over here, look at this squirrel. There's nothing in any of that IMAX stuff that had anything to do with AMC, or like I said, AA wouldn't have been able to buy shares.
You had the magic word of the day. Squirrel!
Squirrel!
Squirrel! Squirrel! Because
I mean, this is as bad as when they tried to say that Amazon was going to buy AMC.
And it was squirrel. Just divert your attention every time I hit
squirrel.
That means your attention needs to go somewhere else, not where it's supposed to be, because that's what
squirrel
means. But here, okay, so there's that portion of it. There's one other portion of this, which I will go ahead and gladly state as well, because I don't understand the why in all this. I promised everybody here that watches, I promised everybody in my community, I promised everybody, period, that I've talked to, that my responsibility moving forward is to go ahead and protect you guys from people, especially trying to bully or try to preach something that isn't true. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And so that was the only reason why I went and said what I said towards Nachi about showing the receipts. That's all I wanted to see. I have nothing against you with going ahead and stating your opinion, but you need to state that this is your opinion, not that this is fact of how markets work, because that is not how markets work. And I could be the one that tells you that 100% because I still have my fucking licenses. And I can sit there and tell you what's right and what's wrong based upon that, because I'm that nerd that's going to sit there and read everything to make sure that I totally understand it. So when I go ahead and I challenged, here's what happens to me. Then I get blocked by Pip and Sammy, who is my runner-up of this Dum Dum of the Week, because he incites that I am trying to start a fight, which was not trying to start a fight. All I was trying to do was state, hey, you need to say what your opinion is to what the facts are. And if you have something that contradicts those facts, you need to show it. And I gave a list of what you would need to show to prove your point. Simply. So I'm still blocked by Pip, which I don't understand why. It's because from what I saw was that he trusts Nachi more than me, which, whatever. Do I care? No, I don't. I figured that a lot of the times when he would ask questions, it was something that was pertaining that retail really wanted to understand and know. So I made it a point to basically answer his questions on the show, just so that this way you guys would understand his question and basically have a grasp of what he was trying to either ask or the answer, and understanding that answer so that it would alleviate any concerns automatically. So regardless of that, those two are my dum-dums of the week. But I have one more gift for y'all, because I couldn't let it go by, just because I'm really aggravated about everything that's going on, 1, politically, 2, economically, and 3, whenever I seem to get into this type of, I'm getting mad about this, I tend to make some pretty funny and, ridiculous commercials, like I did with Biden Glide. So I present to you all Trump in Stuff.
Hi, I'm Kevin Warsh. Welcome to Trump in Stuff. Premium solutions for problems we may have created.
I just got out of central casting, sent here by my real bosses, the bank CEOs. I mean, President Trump. Whoops, almost screwed that up. I'm here today to explain why I don't fully understand what cutting rates will do when inflation might already be headed to Pluto. Is too much nonsense making your facial complexion turn white as a ghost? Are you standing in front of cameras trying to explain that inflation is fine and markets are fine and the banks are fine? Are you telling the public that everything is totally, completely fine while your face says, I have no idea what's happening? Then just rub on Market Miracle Tanner. It takes that pale, convicted ghost appearance and transforms it into the rich, golden Mar-a-Lago glow. Then just rub on Market Miracle Tanner. It takes that pale, convicted ghost appearance and transforms it into the rich, golden Mar-a-Lago glow. Now available in 3 shades: soft landing bronze, liquidity gold, and executive immunity orange. When inflation goes to Pluto and your credibility goes underground, don't explain it, tan over it. Rub it in, Troc McAbuilder. Spin it out, walk away golden. Now, I know what you're thinking. Kevin, can one little bottle really cover that much panic? With Market Miracle Tanner, the answer is yes. It covers fear, confusion, and uncomfortable questions, and for our putting the truth where America can finally see it. Market Miracle Tanner. You can throw as much bullshit as needed and still get the Mar-a-Lago gold. Trump in stuff.
Trump in stuff, ladies and gentlemen. Throw as much bullshit as needed, and guess what you got on the other side? More bullshit. But there's plenty of time for more bullshit, because we got to go over some bullshit that's actually happening right now as we speak. So I give you all this wonderful, wonderful, wonderful right up here, which I am very, very proud of, to be honest with you. AMC, welcome to the AI Money Laundromat, where big tech invests, quote unquote, the startup spends, and everyone pretends it's organic growth. This week on the AMC Ape Cage show, we are not chasing fairy tales, hype decks, or another Wall Street bedtime story about how this time is different. We are looking at the pipes behind the machine. And when you look at these pipes, the AI boom starts looking less like a clean technological revolution and more like a beautifully polished Wall Street recycling plant, the kind where big tech puts money into one end, cloud revenue comes out the other, stock price goes up, passive index funds chase the move, and somehow the public is told this is all just innovation. Cute. The official story is simple. Artificial intelligence is exploding. Demand is massive. The cloud companies are printing money. NVIDIA is the new oil. And everyone should just sit down, shut up, and buy the index. But the filings and recent reporting show a more complicated picture. Contracts involving OpenAI and Anthropic reporting accounts for roughly half of the approximately $2 trillion cloud backing across Amazon, Microsoft, Google, and Oracle. Anthropic alone reportedly committed to spend $200 billion over 5 years on Google Cloud Service and chips. That means a huge portion of the future AI demand story may depend on just 2 private AI startups are burning enormous amount of capital while promising to buy enormous amounts of cloud capacity from the same corporate ecosystem funding and valuing them. Nothing suspicious there, right? No. Just 2 cash-hungry startups holding up a $1 trillion cloud narrative. Totally normal. Totally. It does not mean every AI dollar is fake. Here's the part the average person needs to understand. Imagine I gave you $100 and tell you that you must spend it at my store. You walk into my store, hand me the $100, and I announce to the world, great news, I made $100 in sales. Then, because you are now considered a valuable customer, someone says your business is worth more money and I mark up the value of my stake in you. So now I have revenue from money I helped provide, plus a paper gain from your rising valuation. Then my stock goes up. Index funds buy more of me. Retirement accounts get dragged into the trade. And CNBC talking heads call it a productivity revolution. Dun, 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 dun. That is the concern behind the AI roundup revenue loop. It does not mean every AI dollar is fake. It means that some of the demand may be financially recycled, not organically earned. And when the market starts valuing recycled demand like permanent economic growth, then that is when the bubble music gets loud. And I mean loud. This is where accounting comes in. And yes, I know accounting is usually where fun goes to die, but in this case, accounting may be where the magic trick happens. A 2016 FASB accounting update changed how many equity investments are treated with fair value. Changes generally flowing through net income subjects to expectations. In plain English, if a big tech company owns a part of an AI startup and that startup gets valuation in a new funding round, the investor may be able to recognize an unrealized paper gain in earnings, even without selling a stake for cash. So the company can look more profitable on paper while the real cash is being poured into data centers, chips, power servers, and infrastructure. Congratulations. We have discovered the miracle of modern finance. I have to turn my microphone down because I am skipping. Of modern finance, profits that look amazing until you're asked whether cash actually showed up. The more passive funds buy and the stronger the index looks. And this is where the AI story starts connecting to a bigger market structure problem. If big tech can fund AI startups, book cloud revenue when those startups spend the money back, mark up private investment stakes as profits, and then ride the stock price gains into larger index weights, that creates a self-feeding loop. The higher the stock goes, the more passive funds have to buy. The more passive funds have to buy, the stronger the index looks. The stronger the index looks, the easier it is for Wall Street to say the market is healthy. So, meanwhile, while all this is happening, let me try and do that. Okay. That is not price discovery. That is a treadmill with a Bloomberg terminal around it. Now add SpaceX to the picture, and the plot gets even better or worse, depending on whether you enjoy watching rule books become wet napkins. The S&P 500 methodology has traditionally required financial viability, including positive GAAP earnings in the most recent quarter and over the most recent 4 quarters, and it generally requires IPOs to trade publicly for at least 12 months before consideration for the S&P Composite 1500 inclusion. Those standards exist because major indexes are supposed to represent seasoned, financially viable public companies, not whether massive private market stories Wall Street wants to unload next. And that's because they're buying because the index tells them to. This is we're going to try that. See if that works at all, because I'm getting feedback on my end. But NASDAQ has already adopted a new fast entry process for the NASDAQ 100. I don't know why this is doing what it's doing, but that's okay. Starting May 1st, 2026, qualifying newly listed large cap companies ranked in the top 40 by market value can potentially be assessed around their 7th trading day and added by their 15th trading day if they meet eligibility criteria. That's bullshit. Reuters specifically reported that the change comes as major potential listings like SpaceX and OpenAI are being watched by the market. So let's not insult everyone's intelligence. When the rule changes rise right before the giant IPO parade, people are allowed to ask who the parade is really for. I have to try and do this. Matt, do you keep on hearing? I keep on hearing like the little like pops in my microphone. If that, I don't know if you're hearing it. Okay. Okay. That's what I was curious about, because I think it's my soundboard, and it's about to take an absolute crap for some odd reason. But yeah, I'm gonna. I don't want to start this all over again, but no, I understand that. It's just it's kind of annoying for the way that this is going back and forth for some odd reason, and I don't know why it's doing it the way it is, but that's okay. So the question for this week is not whether AI is useful. It is not whether NVIDIA makes real chips. It's not whether SpaceX builds real rockets. Those are distractions. The real question is whether Wall Street is building a new liquidity engines at the exact moment the system needs more collateral, more balance sheet support, and more ways to keep pressure contained. Because for AMC and GME investors, this is where the story gets personal. Heavily shorted stocks do not exist in isolation. They sit inside market plumbing systems, filed with securities lending, swaps, prime brokers, market makers, collateral, and requirements, and hidden leverage. If institutions are under pressure, one way to survive is not necessarily to close a bad trade, it isn't to inflate or create stronger collateral somewhere else. That is why this report is going to follow the money loop. From AI startup funding to cloud revenue to paper profits to index flows to SpaceX rule changes, passive investor liquidity, and finally back to the question every ape should be asking. Are these markets rising because the economy is truly stronger or because Wall Street is manufacturing fresh liquidity to keep the old short risk machine from breaking open? That is the cage we are opening this week. And once we've opened it, the smell is going to be hard to ignore. Folks, I'm going to put this on a timeout for about 5 minutes just so I can fix this microphone. It's probably not going to be 5 minutes, probably going to be like 2. But let me just restart my soundboard so I get this pop out of here. So I'll be right back. Let's try that, because that should probably have fixed the majority of it. Matt, you can hear me? All right, perfect. So that probably fixed everything. So that was exactly what I needed to do. So now we can move on. Welcome to the Cloud Casino, where big tech funds the customer, books the sale, marks the stakes, and calls it economic growth. Place your bets on the future, taxpayers not included. Now serving fresh, independent demand. 401k, passive funds, because reading is hard. I have no idea what any of this is, but my advisor said it's diversified. Investments, big money. House always wins. Thanks. I'll just spend this right back. Cloud credit, dealer advantages, accounting rules. And you see the circle, and the circle, and the circle. And it just keeps on happening because it's independent demand, may not be independent, may contain circular revenue accounting magic. And sprinkle of hopium, results not guaranteed, past performances is imaginary. The AI boom may be built on circular demand. Welcome to the Cloud Casino, where big tech funds the customer, books the sale, marks the stake, and calls it organic growth. The mainstream AI story sounds beautiful because it was designed to sound beautiful. Artificial intelligence is changing the world. Companies are racing to adopt it. Cloud demand is exploding. NVIDIA is selling the picks and shovels. Big tech is printing the money, and the market is simply rewarding genius. That is the bedtime version. Nice blanket, soft pillow, very comforting, but when you actually open the filings, follow the contracts, and look at who's paying whom, the story starts to smell less like a clean technology revolution and more like a Wall Street funded echo chamber with a data center attached. The problem is not that AI is useless. AI is real. The chips are real. The data centers are real. The cloud bills are real. The problem is whether the demand is as real, broad, independent, and profitable as the market is being told, or whatever the massive part of the AI boom is being financed by the same companies booking the revenue. Because if big tech gives money to AI startups, those startups spend that money back on big tech cloud platforms. Big tech records the spending as revenue. Then big tech marks up the value of the investment when the startup gets a higher valuation. We are no longer looking at a clean organic demand. We are looking at a circular money loop, wearing a hoodie and calling itself the future. This is the AI round trip revenue concern. It is not complicated once Wall Street stops fogging the room with accounting perfume. Imagine I own a cloud company. I give the AI startup billions of dollars. Maybe I call it an investment. Maybe some of it comes as cloud credits. Maybe it comes through a strategic partnership. Maybe the contract says the startup has to use my infrastructure. Then the startup uses that money to buy my cloud services. I record that usage as revenue. Later, the startup raises money as a higher valuation. And because I own part of it, I may be able to mark up the value of my stake. Now, my cloud revenue looks stronger. My earnings may look stronger. My stock price rises. My weight inside the NASDAQ or S&P, guess what? It rises. And passive funds buy more of my stock because the index says so. Then financial media looks into the camera and says, bobblehead, bobblehead, bobblehead. Demand is incredible. Bobblehead, bobblehead. Yes, incredible indeed. I watered my own plant, sold myself the fruit, appraised the orchard higher, and told the public it was miracle harvest. Please clap. That is why this section matters. The issue is not whether the dollar of AI revenue is fake. That would be sloppy. The sloppy arguments are easy for Wall Street to knock down. The stronger, sharper, harder to dismiss argument is this. A significant portion of AI cloud revenue may be financially recycled demand created inside a tight circle of big tech companies, AI startups, strategic investments, cloud commitments, and private valuation markups. The revenue may be real under accounting rules, but the economic quality of that revenue is the question. A truly independent customer pays you from its own profitable business. A financially dependent startup pays you with capital raises from you, your partners, or the same institutional ecosystem that benefits from the transaction. Those are not the same thing. Wall Street wants regular people to treat them as the same because both can show up as revenue, but one is demand and the other may be a money boomerang. The data makes the concern impossible to ignore. Reuters reported, citing the information that Anthropic committed to spend $200 billion over 5 years on Google Cloud services and chips. That same report said contracts involving Anthropic and OpenAI now account for more than half of the roughly $2 trillion backed $2 trillion backlogged across major cloud providers such as Amazon Web Services, Microsoft Azure, and Google Cloud. It also reports that Anthropic Google agreement accounts for more than 40% of Google's cloud revenue backlog. Read that again. That somehow Anthropic and OpenAI now account for more than half of the roughly $2 trillion backlog across major cloud providers such as Amazon Web Services, Microsoft Azure, and Google Cloud. That the Anthropic and Google agreement accounts for more than 40% of Google Cloud's revenue backlog? Holy shit. More than half of roughly $2 trillion cloud backlog across major providers is reportedly tied to 2 private AI startups? Not thousands of profitable companies across the industry, not a diversified ocean of customers. 2. And I'm saying 2. 1 plus 1 equals 2. Not fish. Like math. 2 private AI giants, OpenAI and Anthropic. So when the market screams cloud backlog is booming, the follow-up question should be, booming from whom? Funded by whom? And payable from what actual cash profit? That's the key issue. Backlog is not the same as money in the bank. Backlog is future contracts or expected revenue. Case in point, just to give you guys an example, this is when I was telling you guys for the longest time that NVIDIA didn't have a completed sales contract until August of like 25. I mean, and it was like 3 years out. It was crazy. But they were able to count it as profit on their books. Now you know how. So it does not mean that customers are generating enough cash to support the obligation. It means that the demand came from millions of independent users paying for profitable AI products. It means there are commitments. Commitments can be valuable, but they can also become dangerous if they depend on constant fundraising, rising valuations, investor confidence, and continue access to capital. In normal person terms, if your neighbor signed a contract to rent you a garage for $10,000 a month, that sounds amazing until you realize you are also lending him the rent money and he has no job. Technically, you have rental income. Economically, you have a problem wearing a receipt. Microsoft and OpenAI are the cleanest example of why investors should be asking hard questions. Microsoft announced in 2019 that it was investing $1 billion in OpenAI and that OpenAI would run its services on a Microsoft Azure, with Microsoft becoming OpenAI's preferred partner for commercializing new AI technologies. OpenAI also described Microsoft as its exclusive cloud provider at that time. The relationship helped build the AI infrastructure story around Azure. Again, the issue is not that Microsoft and OpenAI did something automatically illegal. The issue is that Microsoft was not merely a neutral vendor selling cloud services to a totally unrelated customers. Microsoft was investor, infrastructure partner, commercial partner, and cloud provider. When one company helps fund the customer and then records the customer's cloud spending as revenue, investors should stop treating that revenue like it came from some unrelated army of profitable AI users. Anthropic shows the same pattern through another door. AP reported that Anthropic committed more than $100 billion to Amazon's AWS cloud service over a 10 years, while Amazon would invest $5 billion immediately and could invest up to $20 billion more on top of its prior $8 billion stake in Anthropic. Translation: Amazon invests in Anthropic. Anthropic commits huge spending back to AWS. AWS gets future revenue. Amazon keeps investment upside, and the market gets another gorgeous AI growth narrative wrapped in silicon and optimistic prime. Very neat, very circular, very nothing to see here, peasants. This is where the second trick Wall Street walks on stage: paper profits. Big tech does not only benefit when AI startups buy cloud services. It can also benefit when the startup private valuation rises. FASB ASU 2016-01 changed the accounting treatment for many equity investments. And Deloitte summarizes the update as significantly revising accounting for equity securities and fair value changes. Other accounting summaries explain that many equity investments are measured at fair value, with changes recognized through net income, subject to expectations such as equity method investments or consolidated subsidiaries. In plain English, if a company owns an equity stake that stake gets marked higher The gain sometimes flows into reported earnings, even if the company has not sold the stake and collected the cash. So the earnings headline can look stronger while the actual cash story is much messier. And this matters because regular people hear profit and think cash showed up. Wall Street hears profit and sometimes means a valuation mark move on a spreadsheet. There is a Grand Canyon between those two things. If a big tech company invests in AI startups, the startup spends heavily on the company cloud. The startup valuation rises because investors believe AI is the future, and the big tech companies mark up its stakes. Then you can get revenues and earning strength from the same loop. Meanwhile, the real world cost of AI build out is massive. Data centers, power, chips, cooling, land, networking, debt, and capital expenditures. The cash goes out the door to build the infrastructure while the earnings story gets dressed up with revenue growth and paper gains. That is how a company can look amazing on TV while the cash flow statement quietly asks if anyone brought a fire extinguisher. And let's be clear, cloud revenue from AI startups is not automatically worthless. The service is real, the compute is real, the invoices are real. The question is quality. High quality revenue comes from customers who can pay from sustainable operating cash flow. Lower quality revenue can come from customers who are dependent on fundraising, strategic investors, and circular commitments. If an AI startup needs a massive external capital just to keep buying computers or compute, then the cloud provider revenue is partly dependent on the capital market staying open. That is not the same as mature business paying a normal software bill out of its profits. That is a cash burning rocket strapped to a cloud contract. It can fly high. It can also explode. This is why OpenAI and Anthropic concentration is the flashing red light. If AI adoption were truly broad, mature, and profitable across the economy, the backlog would be spread across thousands of companies. Instead, recent reporting says that the biggest future commitments are concentrated around OpenAI and Anthropic. That means that the AI boom may not be a wide foundation. It may be a tall tower standing on two private company pillars. And because those companies are private, ordinary investors do not get the same level of transparency they would from public companies. We do not get the full quarterly filings, the full segment cash flow details, the same level of public scrutiny, or the same clean visibility into true profitability of the commitments. Yet, the public market is already valuing Microsoft, Amazon, Alphabet, Oracle, NVIDIA, and the broader index based on the assumption that AI demand will continue. So regular people are being asked to buy public market effect of private company promise without seeing the full private company math. That is not transparency. That is a fog machine with a ticker symbol. Now bring NVIDIA into the picture. And NVIDIA sells the hardware that powers much of the AI build out. NVIDIA's chips are real. Its revenue is real. Its dominance in AI accelerators is real. But the bigger question is whether the end demand behind the build out is sustainable. NVIDIA can sell real chips into a bubble. That is not contradiction. During the gold rush, the shovel seller can make real money even if most miners never find gold. The shovel seller revenue can be legitimate while the system around it becomes speculative and overbuilt. Its cloud companies are ordering massive AI infrastructures because OpenAI, Anthropic, and other startups have signed huge commitments, and those startups are funded by the same corporate financial ecosystem booking the revenue. Then NVIDIA demand chain is connected to the same circular structure. NVIDIA may be the strongest company in the loop, but the loop can still be fragile. The passive index angle is where this becomes dangerous for regular people. And this is the part that you should be paying attention to, folks, because this is the most important part of this. When big tech stocks rise, the index weight rises. When their index weights rise, passive funds buy more. Passive investing is marketed as safe and broad. But when the market becomes concentrated in a small group of mega cap AI names, passive investing becomes a forced funnel into those same companies. Your retirement accounts may not be choosing AI exposure. It may be getting dragged into AI exposure because the index is more concentrated in companies benefiting from that loop. This is how Wall Street launders a concentrated risk through the word diversification. So congratulations, you bought a whole market, which increasingly means you bought the same handful of mega cap AI stocks wearing different hats. This is the heart of the AI liquidity machine. Big tech funds the startup buys the cloud revenue rises, private valuation rises, paper gains may boost earnings, stock price rises, index weight rises, passive funds buy more, retirement money flows in automatically. Wall Street points at the rising market and says, see, healthy economy. But a rising stock market is not always proof of a healthy economy. Sometimes it's a proof that enough money has been mechanically routed into the right assets to keep the scoreboard green. If the cash economics underneath it do not eventually support the valuation, then the loop turns from miracle to trap. Hence, why they need you to buy it so they can get out of it. That is the whole point of this. That's why the talking heads on TV keep on telling you, buy, 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 buy. Oh, you got to keep on buying because my boss says you need to buy. Because if you don't, their bosses can't get out. That is why fake revenue has to be framed with precision. The phrase has punch, but the defendable argument is stronger. AI cloud revenue may be real in accounting form while still being economically manufactured through circular financing and concentrated customer dependence. In other words, the problem is not that no transaction happened. The problem is that the transaction may not represent independent, durable, profitable demand. Wall Street wants the public to confuse accounting recognition with economic truth. Joker Ape says no. Show us the customer concentration. Show us the funding source. Show us the actual cash profits. Show us whether the AI startup can pay without another funding round. Show us whether the cloud backlog survives if valuations stop rising. Show us whether this is growth or just a very expensive echo. This is what makes the AI boom different from normal technology circles. A healthy technology boom should eventually produce a broad productivity gains, profitable customers, sustainable margins, and independent demand. A financialized boom produce circular funding, concentrated commitments, paper gains, index concentration, and forced passive buying. One creates real economic strength, the other creates collateral. And collateral is what Wall Street needs when the system is under stress. That is why this matters to AMC and GME investors. If mega cap AI valuations create collateral strength, then institutions carry risk elsewhere, gets more breathing room. If the index rises because AI names rise, the system gets more balance sheet cushion. If passive funds keep buying, the machine keeps humming. The question becomes, is AI making the economy stronger, or is AI being used to make institutional collateral look stronger? So the conclusion for this section is simple. The AI boom may not be fake because nothing is happening. It may be fake because Wall Street is treating recycled, concentrated financial demand like broad, organic, permanent demand. And AI can be useful and still be a bubble. NVIDIA can sell chips and still sit inside an overinflated system. Microsoft, Amazon, Google, Oracle can book real cloud revenue and still benefit from circular customer financing. OpenAI and Anthropic can be important companies and still represent dangerous, concentrated risk. The problem is not the technology. The problem is financial machines wrapped around the technology. And once that machine is visible, the next section becomes impossible to ignore. Because if big tech can use AI to create revenue loops, paper gains, index strength, and collateral support, then the SpaceX index rule story starts looking less like a separate headline and more like the next liquidity chapter. Creates a massive valuation story. Fast track it towards passive index demand. Turn public investors into forced buyers and call the whole thing progress. Paper profits and the 2016 accounting rule. Welcome to the earning funhouse, where profits show up before the cash does. Earnings funhouse. Ha 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 ha. Look at that. Step right up, folks. No cash, no problem. We have profit. Look at the mark-to-market roller coaster. Whee! Don't you love these title cartoons, Matt? These are awesome. I don't even know how I made them. But the second part of the AI bubble is not just cloud revenue. That was only the first magic trick. The second magic trick is paper profits. And this is where the AI boom starts looking like an earnings funhouse built on accountants, bankers, and Silicon Valley hype merchants who all discovered the same beautiful loophole. If the value of an AI startup gets marked higher, big tech can may be able to show that gain in reported earnings, even if nobody sold the stake and no real cash profit showed up. Who'd have thunk? In normal person language, this is like telling your friend you made money because Zillow says your house is worth more, even though you did not sell the house, you did not receive a check, and still have to pay the mortgage, taxes, insurance, repairs, and electric bill. But in big tech world, apparently that kind of profit can help power earnings headlines. Very convenient, very sophisticated, and very, please do not look at the cash flow statement, please. The accounting rule at the center of this is FASB ASU 2016-01, the Financial Accounting Standard. Broad change how many equity investments are measured and reported. Deloitte's summarized ASU 2016-01 as significantly revising accounting for the classification and measurement of financial instruments, including equity securities. The basic point is that many equity investments are measured at fair value, with changes in fair value recognized through net income, subject to important exemptions such as consolidated subsidiaries or equity method investments. That sounds boring because accounting rules are written in language designed to tranquilize the public. But translated into English, if a company owns an investment and that investment gets valued higher, the company may be able to recognize the increase as income, even if it has not sold the investment for cash. That matters because the AI boom is not only producing cloud spending, it is producing valuation marks. Big tech invests in AI startup. The AI startup signs massive cloud or compute commitments. Investors assign the startup a higher private valuation in the next funding round. Big tech becomes its own stake, may be able to mark up the investment. The earnings report suddenly looks stronger. Analysts talk about profit growth and bobble, bobble, bobble. The stock rises, index funds buy more because the company market cap and index weight rises, and the public is told this is proof of economic strength. How adorable. The same circle that created the cloud demand can also create the paper gain. And then Wall Street acts surprised when regular people call it circular. Apparently, if you put enough footnotes around the loop, it becomes innovation. The Anthropic example is exactly why this section matters. Fortune reported that Amazon said its $8 billion investment in Anthropic was worth more than $70 billion. And that the markup was triggered by Anthropic's Series G funding round and conversion of some Amazon convertible notes into a preferred stock. Fortune also reported that Google and Amazon blowout AI-related profits were heavily shaped by their unsold Anthropic stakes. That is the key phrase. Unsold stakes. Not cash in the door from selling the investment, not operating profit from delivering products to millions of independent customers, a valuation markup of an investment that was still being held. Amazon's numbers make the issue more obvious. The Next Web reported that Amazon's Q1 of 2026 net income was $30.3 billion, but $16.8 billion of pre-tax profit came from a mark-to-market gain on its Anthropic investment, while Amazon's free cash flow collapsed 95% to $1.2 billion as capital expenditures hit $44.2 billion. Business Insider also pointed to Amazon's $16.8 billion gain on its Anthropic investment as a major boost to net income for the quarter. So let's translate that for people who do not speak Wall Street. Amazon could report massive profit strength partly because the value of an AI investment was marked up while the company was also spending enormous real cash to build AI infrastructures that the story depends on. That is not automatically fraud, but it's absolutely a reason to separate paper earnings from cash reality. This is where the average person gets tricked. When people hear profit, they think the business sold something, collected money, paid its bills, and had cash left over. That is what profit means at a diner, a construction company, a mechanic shop, or a family business. But in a public company accounting, reported net income can include non-cash gains, valuation adjustments, and investment markups. So a company can look stronger on an earnings headline while the real cash needs are exploding. An AI infrastructure is not cheap. It requires chips, servers, land, data centers, power contracts, cooling systems, network hardware, debt financing, and constant upgrades. The AI boom is burning real cash in the physical world while also generating spreadsheet profits in the accounting world. One requires power plants, the other requires a valid valuation round. Guess which one Wall Street puts in the headline? So while you're seeing all these, news clippings or reports on Twitter, for example, or X, whatever you want to call it, that are saying that, oh, look at Uber. Uber hired all these or fired all these human workers and now hired AI to do most of its customer service, work. And what happened? They are spending massive amounts of money more than what an actual human would provide. And it's more expensive than a human worker. That is the problem. This is the danger. Paper profits can make the system look healthier than it is. If an AI startup valuation rises, big tech stakes rise. If big tech stakes rise, earnings may rise. If earnings rise, the stock rises. If the stock rises, the index rises. If the index rises, passive funds buy more. If passive funds buy more, the stock gets more support. Then the startup's next valuation can't be justified partly by the strength of the ecosystem around it, and around we go. Big tech funds the startup. The startup buys the cloud. Big tech books revenue. The startup valuation rises. Big tech books paper gains. Report earnings rise. Stock price rises. Passive funds rise. Buy more. And the market gets to pretend the loop is a straight line. This is not just an accounting footnote. This is how the AI boom becomes a market-wide liquidity machine. And the most important distinction is this: cash profits and paper profits are not the same animal. Cash profits mean money actually came in and can be used as paper debt. Fund operations, buy back stock, pay dividends, or survive a downturn. Paper profits mean an asset was marked higher. Paper profits can disappear if the valuation drops. If Anthropic and OpenAI or any major AI startup gets revalued lower, the same accounting logic that helped earnings on the way up can hurt earnings on the way down. That is the part of the hype machine never says out loud. Mark to market is cute when the market marks up. It becomes a meat grinder when the market marks down. Suddenly, yesterday AI profit miracle becomes tomorrow's non-cash accounting headwind. Don't worry, they'll say. And they'll say it calmly on an earnings call, while regular investors wonder why their retirement account just got punched in the teeth. This is why the 2016 accounting rule is so important to this report. The rule was not created specifically for AI. It was a part of the broader change in financial instrument accounting. But today, it may be helping big tech turn private AI valuations increases into public earning strength. That is the uncomfortable part. The rule designed for accounting conspiracy can become a fuel line for a bubble psychology. When private AI valuations are rising fast and big tech owns a large stake in those companies, the accounting may be legal. The filing may disclose it. The auditors may sign off, but legal does not automatically mean economically clean. It just means that the machine found a way to operate inside the rules. Wall Street loves that kind of thing. It is profitable, legalish, and buried deep enough in the footnotes. They call it market efficiency. Now compare that to the .com telecom era, because history already handed us a warning label. During the early 2000s, companies such as Global Crossing and Quest were scrutinized over telecom capacity swaps transactions where companies exchanged network capacity and booked revenue, raising concerns that the deals inflated sales without proving real end user demand. Congressional records on the Global Crossing of Quest capacity swaps hearings discussed concerns about whether those transactions were designed to boost revenues, and those records referenced Quest having to restate about $1.4 billion. The SEC complaint against Quest also described transactions where Quest recognized revenue from capacity sales under questionable circumstances, including a transaction involving Global Crossing. The AI version is not identical. This is important for credibility. The .com swap involved telecom capacity transactions that regulators later scrutinized directly. Today's AI loop involves strategic investment, cloud commitments, private valuations, fair value accounting, and massive infrastructure build-outs. Different wrapper, different rule environment, different decade, same basic warning. Financially connected companies can create the appearance of explosive demand before there's proof the final customer can generate durable profits. In 2001, it was a fiber optic capacity. Today, it may be cloud compute, GPUs, data centers, and AI modeled training. Back then, everyone said the internet would change everything, and they were right. But many internet bubble valuations were still insane. Today's AI may change everything, and the valuations can still be insane. Technology can still be real, while the financial structure around it is a bubble. Both things can be true at the same time. But that is the piece Wall Street hates because it ruins the sales pitch. They want the public to believe that if the technology is real, the valuation must be justified. No. A real technology can still be overbuilt. A real company can still have low quality earnings. A real cloud contract can still depend on circular financing. A real investment gain can still be paper. A real index rally can still be driven by concentrated flows. The issue is not whether AI exists. The issue is whether the profits being reported are backed by substantial cash flow or inflated by accounting markets and capital market enthusiasm. And this matters for the broader liquidity control thesis because earnings are collateral fuel. Strong earnings support stock prices. Higher stock prices support index value. Higher index value supports passive inflows. Higher market caps strengthen institutional balance sheets. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I'll read that again. Higher market caps strengthen institutional balance sheets. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Stronger collateral gives banks, hedge funds, market makers, and prime brokers more breathing room. if there is stress elsewhere in the market, including short exposure, swap exposure, securities lending obligations, or hidden leverage connected to names like, I don't know, AMC and GME, then rising mega cap collateral can be institutions delayed, managed, or suppressed that pressure. That does not prove every connection, but it explains the incentive. In the leverage system, paper gains are not just accounting declarations, they can become oxygen. So the warning is simple. The AI boom may be given the market two illusions at once. First, the illusion that the broad cloud demand, when some demand may be circular and connected or concentrated. Second, the illusion of massive profit strength when some of the profits may be non-cash valuation gains. So let's put those two together and you get the market that looks powerful on the surface, but maybe more fragile underneath than investors realize. The public sees rising earnings, rising stocks, rising indexes, rising retirement balances. Under the hood, the machine may be depending on the capital hungry AI startup, huge compute commitments, private valuation markups, and passive funds that buy because the index tells them to. That is not normal growth cycle. That is the financial treadmill with the fog machine and the ticker symbol. The final point for this section is this: paper profits are not fake because accountants invented numbers out of thin air. They are dangerous because the market may treat temporary valuation marks like permanent operating strength. If Anthropic or OpenAI keeps rising, the loop looks brilliant. If AI demand becomes profitable and broad, the bulls get their victory lap. But if private valuation stops rising, if cloud commitments get renegotiated, if compute costs overwhelm revenue, or the investors stop funding the cycle, those paper gains can reverse the AI earning miracle and can turn it into a balance sheet hangover. That is the AI bubble risk in plain English. Big tech may not only be selling picks and a shovel, it may also be financing the miners, looking the miners, spending as revenue, marking up the mine on paper, and then telling the retirement fund to buy more shares because the mountain is obviously full of gold. Maybe there's gold in there, maybe there's not. But when the same people selling the shovel, funding the miner, appraising the mine, and celebrating the stock price are all standing in the same room, retail investors should not be called conspiracy theorists for asking who's holding the map. And that is exactly why the next section matters. Because once you understand how the paper profits can support AI valuation can support index strength, and index strength can support institutional collateral. Now the SpaceX index story becomes no longer looks like a separate headline. It looks like the next act in the same show. Create a mega valuation engineer. The index pathways activate force passive demand and turn public money into liquidity while calling it progress. Hence, SpaceX. And the index rule magic show. Apparently, profitability matters until the rocket is big enough. That's a lot of crap. And look, we have an ape. Funny how the rules change right on cue. Matt, you're quiet over there tonight. Ooh-wee. Is Matt learning? Or is he just napping? Oh, Grandpa Matt. The SpaceX. Here, I was about to say, was it nap time or was it you were learning? Oh, okay. I was about to say, I'm like, no injections, no nothing. I was just like, I thought you would be this would be a perfect cue for you. I don't blame you. It's a lot of work when what you were doing earlier. The SpaceX story is not just about rockets, satellites, Mars, or another shiny billionaire IPO wrapped in patriotic music and futuristic PowerPoint slides. This is about something much larger and much dirtier. What happens when the rule book suddenly becomes flexible right before one of the largest private companies on earth wants access to public market liquidity? Because let's be honest, when a little guy misses one requirement, Wall Street tells him, sorry, rules are rules. But when a trillion-dollar class company backed by the biggest banks, private investors, and institutional money walks into the casino and may want the casino, suddenly the rules start doing yoga, very inspiring, very dramatic, very free market, of course. The S&P 500 is supposed to represent establishment, financial, viable public companies. It is not supposed to be some speculative IPO launchpad where massive private market stories get dumped directly into everyone's retirement account before the public has had time to understand the risk. S&P own S&P's own U.S. index methodology says companies should demonstrate financial viability, including positive GAAP or GAAP earnings in the most recent quarter and positive GAAP earnings across the most recent 4 consecutive quarters. And the methodology also says IPOs should generally trade on eligible exchanges for at least 12 months before being considered for index addition. In simple English, the S&P 500 is supposed to ask 2 basic questions before letting a company into the club. Are you actually profitable? And have you been public long enough for the market to test you? That does not sound unreasonable. That sounds like the bare minimum before a company gets pushed into the benchmark that sits inside pensions, 401ks, ETFs, mutual funds, and retirement portfolios across America. Now here comes SpaceX, and suddenly we're supposed to act like those old standards are just tiny administrative details. Recent reporting on SpaceX IPO filing describes major losses. The Financial Times reported that the SpaceX had a $4.94 billion loss in 2025, while Morningstar reported that SpaceX posted a $4.3 billion net loss in the first quarter of 2026 on $4.7 billion of revenue, with debt of about $29.1 billion through the first quarter. Barron's also reported that SpaceX had a Q1 2026 loss of about $1.9 billion and warned investors to be careful chasing IPO hype. These are not tiny rounding errors. These are not, oops, we bought too many official chairs losses. These are multi-billion-dollar losses attached to a company reporting seeking a historic public market valuation. So the obvious question is simple. If the S&P 500 traditionally requires profitability and public market seasoning, Why is the market suddenly discussing faster index access for giant IPOs right as SpaceX prepares to go public? That is not a conspiracy question. That is a basic market structure question. If a company cannot meet the traditional standards, then either the company waits, proves itself, and earns eligibility like everyone else, or the rule gets adjusted so the company can get access anyway. And when the rule book gets adjusted, investors have every right to ask who benefits from the adjustment. NASDAQ has already moved. Reuters reported that NASDAQ new NASDAQ 100 rule, effective May 1st of 2026, includes a fast entry process for newly listed large cap companies. Under the process, NASDAQ can evaluate a new listing by ranking its market capitalization on the 7th trading day. And if the company would rank within the top 40 index members and meet other eligibility criteria, it can be fast-tracked into the NASDAQ 100 after the 15th trading day. NASDAQ's own FAQ confirms that starting May 1st, fast entry candidates ranked in the top 40 and meeting applicable eligibility criteria may be added to the index after 15 trading days. 15 trading days, not 15 months, not a full year of public market price discovery, 15 trading days. Apparently, that is now enough time for the market to fully digest a company's valuation, risk factors, governance structure, float, liquidity, debt, business model, and multi-billion-dollar losses. Amazing. Just amazing. Wall Street can barely settle a customer service dispute in 15 days, but apparently it can decide whether a historic IPO belongs in one of the most important indexes in the world. To the average person, this may sound technical, but it's not. Index inclusion is not just a trophy. It is not a ceremonial ribbon. It is some harmless congratulations, you made it moment. Index inclusion creates demand. When a company enters the NASDAQ 100 or the S&P 500, funds that track those indexes often need to buy the stock. ETFs, mutual funds, pensions, target date retirement funds, benchmark tracking institutions, all of them may need exposure because their job is to follow the index. They are not necessarily buying because they studied the balance sheet and personally believe the valuation is fair. They are buying because the index methodology tells them to. That is why index inclusion is liquidity. It turns a company from something investors may choose to buy into something huge pools of passive money may be required to own. And that is the heart of SpaceX problem. Ta-da! Profitability. We don't need that. Where we're going. Losses today, index inclusion tomorrow. Step right up. No profits, no problem. The real problem. Rules bend, liquidity flows, public pays. Ignored, overridden. If SpaceX goes public at a massive valuation and is fast-tracked into a major index, then public market demand may not be purely organic. It may be mechanically created. Passive funds do not get to sit around and say, this company has serious losses, heavy debt, unusual governance, limited float, and valuations that look like it was assembled in a fever dream. So maybe we will wait. No, if the index says buy, they buy. That means retirement money, pension money, ETF money, and broad market fund money can be pulled into the trade whether the average investor understands the risk or not. How convenient. Private investors get years of upside in a private market, then public investors get invited to the party right when the early crowd wants liquidity. Nothing says efficient markets like handing the check to the people who never got to see the menu. This is why the rule timing matters. If SpaceX had to trade publicly for a year, reported quarterly results, deal with market scrutiny, prove its earnings quality, establish a stable float, and show whether its valuation holds up outside the private market echo chamber, then investors would have more information. There would be time for analysts to challenge the numbers, time for short sellers to test the story, time for institutions to debate valuation, time for lockups to expire, and time for the public to see how the company behaves as an actual public security. But fast-track pathways compressed that process. It reduces the time between IPO hype and forced index demand. And when that happens, the index becomes less like a neutral benchmark and more like a liquidity hose pointed directly at the newly public company. SpaceX governance structure makes the issue even more serious. Reuters reported that SpaceX IPO filing shows Elon Musk control and vision as a major part of the investor interest, while Barron's report that Musk controls about 85% of the voting power through super voting shares. That means ordinary public shareholders could be asked to provide liquidity and valuation support while having very limited control over the company's direction. Again, very inspiring. Public investors get the risk, insiders keep the control, and the index fund gets told to press the buy button because the methodology says so. This is not an argument that SpaceX is worthless. SpaceX is clearly important. Starlink is a major business. Reusable rocket changes the launch industry. The company has real technology, real revenue, real strategic value, and real national security importance. But that is exactly why the analysis has to be serious. A company can be important and still be overvalued. A company can be innovative and still hold unprofitable. A company can build real rockets and still be used as a financial liquidity vehicle. Those things are not mutually exclusive. Wall Street loves to act like criticism of valuation is criticism of the technology itself. That is nonsense. The question is not, does SpaceX do real things? The question is, should a loss-making, tightly controlled, historically private company be given rapid access to force passive demand through major indexes before the public market has had a meaningful chance to price the risk? That question has become even more important when you understand who benefits. Early private investors benefit because index inclusion can support demand and valuation. Banks and underwriters benefit because the successful IPO means fees, prestige, and future business. Institutions with pre-IPO exposure benefit because public market liquidity can help them monetize positions. SpaceX benefits because a strong public valuation creates a powerful currency for financing, acquisitions, compensation, and collateral. Index providers benefit because adding the biggest market names keeps their benchmark relevant and attractive. And passive funds do what passive funds do. They buy what they are told to buy. The public, meanwhile, gets to absorb whatever risk the private market no longer wants to hold alone. Beautiful system, very balanced, very for the investor. This is where the phrase forced liquidity matters. Forced liquidity means money moves not because investors freely choose the risk after independent analysis, but because the structure of the market channels money into the asset. If SpaceX enters a major index quickly, it does not need every investor to believe in the valuation. It just needs the index machine to activate. Once that happens, buying pressure can arrive from products that are designed to track, not think. That's the entire point. Passive funds are powerful because they are automatic. But the same automatic behavior can become dangerous when the index itself is used to funnel public money into assets that would otherwise need more time to prove themselves. And this is where SpaceX story connects directly into the broader liquidity control thesis. In a normal market, a company's price should be discovered through a battle between buyers and sellers. Bulls argue the company is undervalued. Bears argue it's overvalued. Analysts debate cash flow, margins, debt, governance, growth, and risk. But when the index inclusion happens quickly, especially for a massive company, the scale tilts. Mechanical demand enters the market. That can stabilize price, support valuations, and create collateral value. A higher value public or higher or a high value public SpaceX scrutiny could become a new institutional asset that banks, funds, and prime brokers can hold, finance, lend against, and use inside the broader collateral system. In other words, it's not just a stock, it becomes a piece of financial infrastructure. And that is why AMC and GME investors should care. The connection is not that SpaceX is directly shorting AMC or GME. The connection is collateral. Heavily shorted stocks sit inside the system of margin, swaps, securities lendings, options, prime brokerage, and hidden leverage. If institutions are carrying pressure from short exposure or derivative exposure, they need strong collateral somewhere else. Rising mega cap assets help. A massive AI-driven tech rally helps. A fast-track SpaceX IPO with index demand could help. The system does not necessarily need to close the dangerous trade if it can inflate enough collateral around it to keep the trade contained. That is the real game. It's not always about fixing the problem. Sometimes it is about building a bigger cushion so the problem does not explode today. So when people ask, why do you care about SpaceX index rules if this show is about AMC and GME, the answer is simple. Because markets are connected through liquidity. The same institutions that short, lend, hedge, swap, finance, collateralized positions do not live in separate universes. They operate inside one giant balance sheet machine. If that machine needs fresh collateral, then a massive IPO with fast index access is not just a tech event. It is the pressure release valve. It is a way to create a new pool of market value, attract forced passive buying, support institutional balance sheets, and move risk into public portfolios. The most important question is not whether SpaceX deserves to exist. It's whether the rockets are impressive or whether the long-term vision is exciting. The most important question is this: are index rules being updated to reflect a changing market, or are they being redesigned to deliver liquidity to specific companies and institutions at the exact moment that liquidity is needed? Because if profitability, seasoning, and public market testing are important when ordinary companies apply for index inclusion, but suddenly negotiable when a company is big enough, then the index system is not neutral. It is selective. It is political. It is a financial engineering dressed up as mythology. And that is the smooth bridge into this next section. Once you understand how SpaceX could become a forced liquidity event, the AMC GME connection becomes much easier to see. The question is no longer just who's buying SpaceX. The question becomes, what does that buying support? Whose collateral improves? Which institutions benefit? And how does that liquidity help keep pressure contained elsewhere in the market? Because when Wall Street starts bending rules to create new liquidity pools, retail investors should stop clapping for the rocket launch and start asking who is standing under the booster when the flames come down. AMC, GME, and the collateral circus. Because apparently the best way to fix a short problem is to inflate everything else. AI hype, mega cap, space IPO, passive flows, index funds, retirement money, paper profits. More short pressure. Matt, what do you think? Pretty good argument, huh? As you listen from across the room. AMC and GME are not just meme stocks. That label was always too cute, too dismissive, and too convenient. Meme stocks is what Wall Street calls a stock when retail investors notice something the suits would rather keep buried under a mountain of acronyms, settlement rules, dark pools, derivatives, and nothing to see here press releases. AMC and GME matter because they expose the plumbing. They showed average investors that the stock market is not just a clean little scoreboard where buyers and sellers meet fairly, prices move naturally, and everyone plays by the same rules. No, the market is a machine, and behind that machine are short selling, securities lending, options hedging, swaps, failed to delivers, prime brokers, margin requirements, and off-exchange trading and collateral change so long they make a CVS receipt look humble. The direct connection between AI, SpaceX, AMC, and GME is not that NVIDIA or SpaceX are sitting in a room personally pressing the short AMC button or the short GME button. That would be too simple. And Wall Street does not like simple crime movie plots. The connection is collateral. Collateral is the financial system safety blanket, oxygen tank, and backstage pass all rolled into one. When hedge funds borrow, short hedge swaps, or leverage themselves into positions, they need assets to support those trades. Banks and prime brokers do not just say, sure, go gamble with billions and we trust your vibes. They demand collateral. If the value of that collateral drops, margin pressure rises. If margin pressure rises enough, positions can be forced to close. And if heavily shorted positions have to close while retail is still holding, well, suddenly the meme stocks become a very serious adult conversation. That is why collateral matters. A short position is not just a bet that a stock goes down. It is a trade connected to borrowed shares, positioning margin, managing risk, and maintaining relationships with brokers and lenders. FINRA explains that short interest data is collected from broker dealers and published for exchange listed and OTC equities, giving investors a public view of reported short positions. FINRA also says member firms report total short positions in customer and proprietary firm accounts on a bi-monthly basis. So yes, reported short interest exists, and yes, regulators track it. But let's not pretend the public data gives a full x-ray of every swap, derivative, hedge, securities lending chain, or offshore arrangements sitting behind a curtain. It gives us a window. Wall Street still owns the building, and the report numbers are not nothing. As of April 30th, Market Beat reported that AMC had 106.23 million shares sold short, equal to 17.43% of the total public float, with a days to cover ratio of about 3.2. GME reported 59.37 million shares sold short, equal to about 14.48% of the public float, and with days to cover ratio about 8.5. Those are reported short interest figures, not secret synthetic positions, not swap exposure, not trust me bro numbers. Reported public already enough to show that these stocks still carry meaningful short pressure after years years after the 2021 event that Wall Street promised was over, solved, closed, boxed up, and buried next to every other temporary liquidity issue. Now remember that the SEC itself said that GME is in its staff report on January 21st, market events, that the SEC staff observed that GME was the only stock it saw in January's 2021 with short interest greater than shares outstanding. The report also noted that the short interest over 50% was rare, and that short interest above 90% had only been observed a few times before, mainly in 2007 and 2008. That is not some random internet theory. That is the SEC acknowledging that GME's short interest was historically extreme. So when retail investors say AMC and GME exposed a structural weakness, they are not investing the idea out of thin air. The market already had a documented pressure point. The question is whether the pressure was truly released or whether it was moved, hidden, hedged, rolled, swapped, or buried inside more complex plumbing. This is where the failed to delivers enter the conversation. And yes, the name sounds like something a delivery company would use when it loses your package. But in market terms, a failed to deliver means a security that was not delivered by settlement date. The SEC publishes failed to deliver data showing ticker, CUSIP price, and total fair balance records in the NSCC's continuous net settlement system. The aggregate across NSCC members, the SEC regulation SHO, was designed to address potentially problematic failure to delivers, and the SEC says the locate requirement is intended to reduce situations where the stock is unavailable for settlement before a short sale is executed. Translation for normal humans: the system knows failures can happen, the rules are supposed to reduce them, and regulators collect data because settlement failures matter. But here's where the public gets the Wall Street magic trick. Retail sees the stock being heavily shorted, routed off exchange, hit with repeated selling pressure, and surrounded by complex derivatives. Then retail asks how much hidden exposure is really out there, and Wall Street responds with the financial equivalent of a smoking bomb. Everything is properly reported. Wonderful. Same industry that brought us 2008, Archegos, FTX exposure, meme stock trading restrictions, and transitory everything. Would like everyone to stop asking questions because the spreadsheet says calm down. Very comforting. Maybe next they can call us leverage or tell us leverage is safe because the font is professional. The collateral connection is the key to understanding why AI and SpaceX matters to AMC and GME investors. If the hedge fund, bank, market maker, or prime broker has risky exposure tied to shorted stocks, it does not only need the shorted stocks to go down, it needs enough balance sheet strength to survive. If the shorted stock does not go down, it needs collateral, it needs liquidity, it needs assets. It can borrow against, pledged, financed, repoed, margined, and used to offset risk. This is where rising mega cap technology stocks become extremely useful. A rising NVIDIA market cap does not just make tech bulls happy. It strengthens indexes. It supports ETF values. It improves collateral pools. It increases the value of assets that institutions can point to when lenders ask, are you good for it? In modern finance systems, a massive stock market rally is not just a celebration, it's a balance sheet medicine. That is why the AI boom is not just about AI. If big tech can create cloud revenue through circular relationships with AI startups, mark up private AI investments, lift reported earnings, and push mega cap stocks prices higher, then the system creates more collateral value. NVIDIA rises, Microsoft rises, Amazon rises, Google rises, Oracle rises, and the NASDAQ rises, the S&P rises, and passive funds keep buying because that's what passive funds are built to do. The higher those stocks go, the more collateral value exists in the system. And if there's hidden stresses everywhere or elsewhere, short exposure, swap exposure, securities lending obligations, option market risk, prime broker pressure, rising mega cap collateral can keep those stresses contained. In plain English, if one part of the house is on fire, Wall Street's solution may be to build a giant, shiny new room on the other side and tell the bank the property value is fine. This is where SpaceX becomes more important because a massive SpaceX IPO, especially one fast-tracked into a major index, could create a brand new high-value public asset. If index inclusions forces ETFs, pensions, retirement funds, and benchmark market or trackers to buy, then SpaceX could become a liquidity event almost immediately after listing. That matters because a large, heavily valued public company can become collateral. It can be financed because a large, heavily valued public company can become collateral. It can be financed. It can be lent against. It can support institutional balance sheets. It can become part of the same machine that uses market cap strength to absorb stress everywhere else. And if SpaceX gets fast index access despite reported losses or normal seasoning concerns, then retail investors have every right to ask whether the index system is reflecting value or manufacturing liquidity. Because once public money is forced into the trade, the risk does not stay with the private investor or insider. It spreads into everyone's 401k, pension, and safe diversified index fund. How generous of Wall Street to invite the public right when liquidity is needed. And this is where the AMC and GME connection. Institutions do not manage risk in isolated boxes. A hedge fund, short book, long book, swap book, option book, repo financing, securities lending relationship, and collateral agreements are all connected through the same balance sheet. If one position rises, then they have more cushion. If their collateral improves, they carry stress longer. If they can raise liquidity through IPOs, structured products, index flows, and mega cap valuations, they can delay force unwinds. That is why the question is not simply, are AMC and GME still shorted? The deeper question is, what financial machinery is being built to prevent short exposure from becoming uncontrollable? Think of it like a household drowning in debt. If the family owes money everywhere, one way to solve the problem is to actually pay down the debt. Another way is to get the house appraised higher, open new lines of credit, refinance, borrow against inflated assets, and keep making minimum payments while pretending everything is fine. Wall Street loves option 2. It is practically a business model. If AMC and GME represent pressure on one side of the system, then AI market cap valuations and SpaceX index liquidity may represent the new appraisal on the other side. Higher asset values create more room to breathe. More room to breathe means more time to avoid closing painful positions. More time means more chances to shake out retail, dilute narratives, distort price discovery, and wait for attention spans to die. That is not market health. That is a delay dressed up as stability. And let's talk about the off-exchange trading and short sale volume, because AMC and GME investors have watched for years as huge portions of trading activity happen away from traditional lit exchanges. FINRA daily short sale volume files provide aggregated short sale volume for trades executed and reported through reporting facilities. The alternative display facility, or the OTC reporting facility, during normal market hours. In other words, regulators know that short sale activity is not just something happening on one clean public exchange board. It is routed, reported, aggregated, and fragmented across the market plumbing. That fragmentation matters because when price discovery is split across lit exchanges, dark pools, wholesalers, internalizers, and off-exchange venues, retail investors naturally ask whether the display price is the true market price or just the price allowed to survive the routing machine. Now, to keep this report credible, we need to be clear. Reported short interest fails to deliver, and short sale volume do not automatically prove a hidden synthetic short position. They do not prove that every theory. They do not prove that every red candle is manipulation, but they absolutely justify scrutiny. They justify asking why heavily shorted retail-owned names remain under pressure while the system simultaneously builds massive new liquidity engines through AI valuations and potential SpaceX index inclusion. They justify asking why the passive investor money is being funneled into the same mega cap assets that strengthen institutional collateral. They justify asking whether market structure rewards the institution that can create the collateral elsewhere, while retail is trapped debating whether a stock price reflects a real supply and demand. That is why AMC and GME holders should not look at AI and SpaceX as unrelated headline stories. They are part of the same financial environment. AI creates the story, NVIDIA supplies the hardware, big tech books the revenue, private AI valuations create paper gains, the index rises, passive funds buy, SpaceX potentially becomes the next giant index-backed liquidity vehicle. Institutions gain collateral, banks gain financing opportunities, and hedge funds gain breathing room. Prime brokers gain more comfort, and the retail investors are told once again that everything is normal, everything is rational, and the market is efficient. Sure. And the Titanic just needed more ice. The core thesis is this: the AI trade and fast-tracked SpaceX index inclusion may function as a liquidity release valve for financial systems, allowing institutions to create or preserve collateral value while suppressing pressure in heavily shorted equities. This is not a claim that the entire connection is already proven. It is the framework for investigation. The incentives are visible. Rating megacap collateral helps Wall Street. AI could revenue helps big tech. Paper gains helped earnings. Index inclusions help new mega cap listings. Passive funds provide automatic demand. Banks and hedge funds benefit from liquidity and balance sheet support. Public investors absorb the risk. That is not a wild theory. That is how incentives work when the system is built around collateral, leverage, and forced flows. So the question for AMC and GME investors is no longer only what is the short interest. That question still matters, but it's not enough. The bigger question is what keeps shorts alive? What keeps margin calls from happening? What keeps prime brokers comfortable? What keeps banks from forcing the issue? And what new assets are being inflated, listed, indexed, financed, and pledged to keep the machine running? Because if the answer is AI megacap and fast-tracked trillion-dollar IPOs, then the market is not just discovering value, it's manufacturing oxygen. And that leads directly into the final conclusion of this report. This is not about hating technology, rockets, AI, or innovation. It's about asking whether public markets are being engineered to create liquidity for institutions while retail investors are told to stop asking questions. It is about whether the same system that struggled with AMC and GME is now building bigger collateral pools to avoid dealing with unsolved short risk pressure. And it is about whether the average investor retirement money is being used as fuel while Wall Street pretends the fire is under control. Why so serious? Joker Ape's final word. Welcome to the free markets, where the house sets the rules, changes the rules, sells you the risk, and still calls you dumb money. My final word is this. The AI boom and the SpaceX index story do not look like random events. In my opinion, they look like two different doors into the same building, and that building is called liquidity engineering. Not innovation, not free market price discovery, not invisible hand, more like invisible hand reaching into the public's retirement account while smiling for the cameras and saying, "This is for your own good." Cute, very patriotic, very efficient, very Wall Street. Let's strip this down so the average person can understand it without needing a financial degree. A Bloomberg terminal or a moral flexibility license from Goldman Sachs. The financial system runs on collateral. Collateral is what institutions use to borrow, leverage, short, hedge, roll risk, survive margin pressure, and keep the game going when the trade should have already blown up. When regular people get in trouble, the bank says, pay us. When Wall Street gets in trouble, the system says, let's create more liquidity. And that is where AI and SpaceX become important. They are not just technology stories. They may be collateral stories. In AI, big tech invests in AI startups. Those startups then spend huge amounts of money back on big tech cloud services. Big tech books that spending as cloud revenue. Then, when the AI startup gets valued higher in a new funding round, big tech may be able to mark up the value of its investments as shown in paper gain earnings under the accounting rules changing FASB ASU 2016-01. Many equity investments are generally measured at fair value, while changes recognized in net income subject to expectations in normal person language. If the investment gets marked up, the company may get to count that gain in earnings, even if it did not actually sell the stake and collected the cash. So yes, the magic trick is real enough to be accounting compliant with It's Wall Street favorite kind of magic trick, legal paperwork, questionable economics, and a press release with the word innovation sprinkled on top. That is why the AI boom deserves serious suspicion. The question isn't whether AI is useful. Of course, AI is useful. The question is whether the market is pricing AI like a real cash profit machine or like a giant financial echo chamber. If big tech funds the customer spends the money back with big tech. With big tech books the value, then marks up the investment, then stocks rise, then passive index funds buy more, then retirement accounts get dragged deeper into the trade. What exactly are we looking at? Economic growth or a self-licking ice cream cone with $1 trillion market cap? And this is where regular people should be furious, because regular people do not get that treatment. Regular people and a regular person misses one car payment and gets buried in fees. A small business has one bad quarter and the bank tightens credit. A family gets crushed by inflation, rent, insurance, groceries, interest rates, medical bills, and taxes, and the system tells them to budget better. Meanwhile, big tech and Wall Street can build circular capital loops, count paper gains, inflate index values, and call it progress. So yes, in my opinion, people have every right to ask, how much longer are regular Americans supposed to suffer under the rule book while the financial elite get a different one printed on demand? Then comes SpaceX, and this one is almost too perfect. The S&P 500 is supposed to be a benchmark of major established financially viable public companies. S&P methodology says financial viability generally requires positive GAAP earnings in the most recent quarter and positive GAAP earnings over the most recent 4 consecutive quarters. That methodology also states that the IPOs should trade on an eligible exchange for at least 12 months before being considered for an S&P Composite 1500, with no IPO fast track entry allowed for those candidates. That is the old school idea. Prove yourself first, then join the club. Crazy concept, I know. But now suddenly a massive private company look towards public markets, the rule conversation changes. Investopedia reports that proposed S&P changes could allow hot mega IPOs to enter index funds sooner, including companies that do not meet the traditional financial viability standards requiring positive GAAP net income in the most recent quarter and over the most recent 4 quarters. So if a regular company is not profitable, sorry, rules are rules. But if a company is big enough, famous enough, institutionally important enough, and wrapped in enough rocket smoke, then suddenly everyone becomes very flexible. Amazing how flexible billionaires make the rule book. NASDAQ already moved in that direction. Reuters reported that NASDAQ's new rules, effective May 1st, allowed qualifying new listed large cap companies to assess around their 7th trading day and potentially added to the NASDAQ 100 by the 15th trading day if they rank in the top 40 by market value and meet eligibility criteria. 15 trading days, not a year, not 4 public earning reports, not enough time for the market to fully test governance, float, debt, balance sheet, insider lockups, or whether the valuation is smoke, mirrors, or actual cash flow. Just 15 trading days, and boom, welcome to the index machine. Now here's why that matters. Index inclusion is not just a trophy, is not a liquidity pipeline. The S&P 500 is not just a list, it is one of the most powerful capital direction tools in the world. Legal scholarship has described the S&P 500 as a widely used to direct capital through passive investing, benchmark portfolios, and elevate performance. That means when a company gets into a major index, huge pools of money may have to buy it because that fund is designed to track the index. That is not independent investor conviction. That is mechanical demand. That is forced buying, where wearing a nice ETF wrapper. So my opinion is this: if SpaceX or any massive loss making IPO gets a special faster route into the major indexes, then we are not just watching a company go public. We are watching a private market risk potentially get transferred into the public retirement money at high speeds. Early investors get liquidity, bank get fees, institutions get a new collateral asset, passive funds get orders, regular people get exposure, whether they understand it or not. And the investment works, Wall Street calls itself a genius. If it blows up later, regular people get told markets involve risk. Of course they do, especially when the risk is gift wrapped and mailed in your 401k. This is where AMC and GME come back into the room because the connection is collateral. AMC and GME showed that market plumbing can be stressed. The SEC staff report on January 21st event said GME was the only stock it observed in January of 21 with a short interest greater than shares outstanding. And it noted that the short interest above 50% was rare. That is not a meme. That is not a Reddit hallucination. That is the SEC acknowledging that GME had an extreme short interest situation. FINRA also publishes short interest data collected from broker dealers, and FINRA Rule 4560 requires member firms to report short positions twice a month. So yes, short exposure is real, tracked, and systemically relevant. Failed to delivers are also real. The SEC publishes failed to delivers and explains that total failed to delivers represent an aggregate net balance of shares that failed to be delivered as a settlement date, recorded in NSCC's continuous net settlement system. That does not automatically prove every hidden short theory, but it proves settlement failures are real enough issue for the SEC to track and publish. Regulations show exists because failure to delivers and abusive short selling practices are not imaginary. They are part of the market plumbing. So here is the Joker Ape's opinion. The real crime, like behavior, is not always one cartoonish villain breaking one obvious law in a one dark room. The real damage often happens through a system that is technically allowed, professionally documented, and morally rotten. Rules get bent, risk gets transferred, retail gets mocked, passive money gets harvested, collateral gets inflated, losses get hidden behind leverage, and when people like us ask questions, we get called conspiracy theorists by the same industry that somehow needs bailout, emergency liquidity, trading halts, rule changes, exemptions, and temporary measures every time it owns its own casino catches fire. That is why this is bigger than AMC, bigger than GME, bigger than Nvidia, bigger than SpaceX. This is about whether public markets still serve the public or whether they have become a giant liquidity transfer machine for institutions. If big tech can finance AI demand, book the revenue, count paper gains, lift stock prices and ride index flows higher, then the market is not clean price discovery. If a massive IPO gets fast-tracked into indexes despite normal profitability and seasoning concerns, then indexes are not neutral benchmarks. And if those rising mega cap assets strengthen institutional collateral while heavily shorted stocks remain pressured, then every retail investor should be asking the same question. Is the system solving the risk or just building walls around it so public cannot see the smoke? And yes, regular people are tired. Tired. Tired of paying more for food while corporations report record strength. Tired of rent rising while Wall Street buys houses. Tired of working harder while retirement accounts get shoved into the same concentrated mega cap trades. Tired of being told inflation is their fault. Wages are too high, benefits are too expensive, and speculation is dangerous unless, of course, the speculation is being done by institutions with access to private deals, index machines, derivatives, and emergency liquidity. When regular people organize, it's called a frenzy. When institutions coordinate through banks, indexes, financing agreements, and strategic partnerships, it is called market structure. Funny how that works. So when will the regular people finally stand up? In my opinion, the stand up is when they understand the machine, not when they are angry for one day, not when one stock runs, not when one headline drops. Not they stand up when they realize the problem is structural. They stand up when they stop accepting Wall Street's labels. They stand up when they understand that passive investing can still be used actively by a system to direct their money. They stand up when they ask who benefits from every rule change, every index adjustment, every liquidity facility, every bailout, every temporary exception, every Sun methodology change or update, and every narrative that tells them to stop looking behind the curtain. And let me be clear, the battlefield here is information, accountability, and public pressure. This is not about violence. This is not about reckless action. This is about shining a floodlight on a table where the under the table deals are being made. This is about asking better questions than the financial media is willing to ask. This is about refusing to let complexity become a hidden place for injustice. This is about demanding that markets meant for the public not be engineered behind closed doors to protect the private few. So yes, Security James, AKA Joker Ape, is ready to bring this to the battlefield of facts, the battlefield of filings, the battlefield of market structure, the battlefield of show me where the money came from, where it went, who booked it as revenue, who marked it as profit, who got index liquidity, and who used it as collateral, and who got left holding the bag. Because that is the question they do not want regular people asking. They want us arguing over memes while they rewrite the rules. They want us laughing at each other while they move trillions through passive products. They want us focused on price candles while they focus on collateral. The final question for the AMC Ape Cage show is this. Are we watching real economic growth? Are we watching Wall Street build new liquidity engines to keep the old short risk machine alive? Because if the AI boom is being inflated by circular demand, if SpaceX is being positioned for a fast index liquidity, if passive funds are becoming forced buyers, and if institutional collateral is being strengthened while retail-owned stocks remain under pressure, then this is not just a market story. This is a justice story. And my final opinion is this: regular people should not have to suffer under a market where the powerful can fund their own demand, mark their own paper gains, change their own index pathways, and then use public retirement money as liquidity while calling everyone else dumb money. That is the insult. That is the grit. That is the crime behind the curtain, not necessarily a crime already proven in court, but a system so tilted, so polished, and so protected that it behaves like injustice, even when dressed in compliance language. That is the investigation. That is the warning. That is the reason AMC and GME investors should care. And that is why this report does not end with trust the market. It ends with a challenge. Follow the collateral, follow the rule changes, follow passive flows, follow who gets liquidity and who gets risk. Then ask yourself one thing: if this system is so fair, why does it need so many tricks to survive? And with that, I hope you guys learned. If as you guys all know, if you guys ever need anything from me, don't hesitate to ask. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions that you guys may have. Matt, as always, thank you for joining me. It was good. It's all on a dream. Mm-hmm. That's its own portion of SpaceX. Correct. Losing money. Yeah. Shit ton. Uh, Imagine if they go ahead and do you see the full of shit narrative? And on top of that, do you see the problem if they do merge Tesla and SpaceX together? Exactly. So now you see the comparison vehicle that, but look, but this is what I want you to understand, and this is the most important part of this report, is that everything that you were told as a meme stock investor was meant to deter you. It was all psychological. None of it was real, because they're doing the exact thing that they said that you couldn't do, but with SpaceX. Correct. It's the same thing. But it's not even. It's not. There's no revenue. There's no profit. It's a loss. It's a huge loss, and not showing any type of inclusionary rules that actually justifies its inclusion. None. So no, what it is that it basically proves it. So, but what? I'll give you a better example. I'm going to give you a way better example, and especially it's Cinemark. Well, that's what I'm saying. Cinemark. Well, yeah, I know, but Cinemark and Cineworld are the same. Yeah, but that what I was trying to basically compare is that hey, it's institutional owned to retail owned. But that's my point. That's my point. Is that it's institutional owned, not retail owned. And that's why that's why this matters, because now you're watching everything that they told you, everything that everybody told you, not just correct. And that correct. That's why I added this specifically to the report, because it shows everything, and it shows that your regulators, your government, your everything has never been for you, which meant it didn't. Correct. Now you understand it, because somebody from the inside, I'm raising my hand, basically just explained it to you. That's why this is gold. And this is now you. And not, well, now you have the see, but now you have so now I mean, I'm happy I could oblige, because it's what they're doing is not it's wrong. Not just morally, but ethically it's wrong. But like I said, this is an investigation. That's what this is. And what you guys now need to do is, as I said, follow the collateral, follow the rule changes, follow the passive flows, follow who gets liquidity and who gets the risk. That's the important part, because you need to find that stuff out. And if you haven't noticed that from the last report to this report, I've told you exactly where you've needed to look. And keep on looking at those spots, because those are what they don't want you to find. That's where it's at. It's there. It's all there. And the normal everyday person can find it. I promise you. But I'm telling you where it is. So, because I don't think anybody has. That's probably why I'm getting attacked. If you want my honest opinion, Matt, that's why I'm getting attacked. No, but that's, yeah, I mean, they're going as full bore as they possibly can. But, Matt, like I said, as always, thank you for always joining me. But I'm going to let you guys go out with words of wisdom. And I truly believe in this because it's not about motivation. It's about how you can change and how you can go ahead and you can beat whoever is your obstacle and become that person that you've always wanted to be. So I leave you all with Joker Ape. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's exactly what it is. But it just for ju- you just need the person to ask the right question. That's it. And you put them into a position where they have to force answer that question. It's not going to look good because the paper is there, the document is there, and you'll be able to see. Anybody with two eyes can see that the structure is built with paper clips. So, besides that, I leave you all with Joker Ape. And like, as always, if you ever need me, I'm always around.
You want easy? You want comfortable? Then step aside. This ain't for you. Easy is a trap. Comfort is a cage. And most of you have been living in that cage so long, you've convinced yourself it's paradise. You've been spoon-fed this idea that life is supposed to feel good, supposed to be effortless. But let me tell you something. Easy doesn't make legends. Easy doesn't make warriors. Easy doesn't make you unbreakable. I've been through hell, and I wouldn't trade a single second of it, because hell burns away weakness. It shows you who you really are. I never wanted what was easy, because if anyone can have it, what's it worth? Nothing. What I want, what I demand, is what everyone else calls impossible. The kind of goals that make people look at you like you're crazy. The kind of pain that makes most men quit before they even start. You want to be different? Stop living like everyone else. Stop chasing comfort and start chasing the impossible. When people tell you it's not worth it, when they say, why bother? Why push so hard? Know that those same people gave up a long time ago. They settled. They let life beat them down until they accepted mediocrity as their reality, but not you, not me. Because we've chosen a different path. A path that doesn't care about how you feel. A path that doesn't care if you're tired, broken, or bleeding. The impossible doesn't care if you've got excuses. It only bows to one thing, an unbreakable will. You see, willpower isn't something you're born with. It's something you build in the dark when no one is watching. It's forged in failure, molded in pain, and solidified every time you decide to keep going when everything in your body is screaming at you to quit. People talk about motivation like it's magic. Forget motivation. Motivation is weak. It's there when you feel good, and gone when you don't. What you need is obsession. What you need is discipline. You've got to want it so bad, you're willing to destroy every part of who you are to become what you're meant to be. So, here's the deal. Stop looking for shortcuts. Stop running from the struggle. Lean into the pain. Make suffering your home. Because when you embrace what's hard, when you seek out what's impossible, something incredible happens. You start to separate yourself. You build something nobody else can touch, a mind, body, and spirit that are unbreakable. Easy. That's for the weak. Comfort. That's for the average. But impossible? That's where greatness lives. So stop asking for a lighter load and start training for stronger shoulders. Be the one who rises when everyone else falls. Be the one they call unbreakable. You think the impossible is some far-off dream? Something reserved for the special, the chosen, the lucky? That's where you're wrong. The impossible isn't out there. It's in here, inside your mind. It's that voice that whispers, "You're not good enough. You can't do this. Who do you think you are?" That voice is the only thing standing between you and everything you've ever wanted. Most people, they listen to that voice. They let it dictate their lives. They let it drown them in fear and self-doubt until they settle for a version of themselves that's less than they're capable of being. But not us, not today. Today, we silence that voice. Today, we decide who the hell we are. Understand this. You don't have to be the strongest. You don't have to be the fastest. You don't have to be the smartest. What you need, what you must have, is the grit to outlast everyone else. Because here's the truth. Life will test you. It will push you to your knees. It will strip you down to nothing. And when that moment comes, and it will come, the only thing that matters is how bad you want it. Are you willing to bleed for it? Are you willing to suffer for it? Are you willing to break yourself apart just to rebuild stronger? Most people aren't. Most people will fold under the weight. But the few who don't, the few who push past the pain, who get back up every single time, they earn something nobody can take away. Self-respect. You want to know what real power feels like? It's looking in the mirror and knowing you didn't quit. It's knowing you've gone to war with yourself and you've won. But it doesn't stop there. Winning the battle isn't enough. You've got to wake up every day and fight again. The war never ends. There's always another challenge, another level, another limit to break. And that's the beauty of it. The struggle doesn't get easier. You get stronger. So, the question isn't, can you do it? The question is, are you willing to do what it takes? Are you willing to suffer longer, fight harder, and rise higher than everyone else? Because the impossible isn't about talent. It's not about luck. It's about who's willing to endure the most pain, who's willing to stay in the fight long after everyone else has walked away. And when you do that, when you refuse to quit, something happens. The world bends to your will. The impossible stops being impossible, and you become unstoppable. But don't stop there. Don't settle. Don't let that fire fade. Because there's always another level, another impossible to conquer. Keep climbing, keep pushing, and keep proving that nothing can break you. So, when the world tries to put you in a box, when it tells you to slow down, to stay comfortable, to quit, you look it in the eye and you say, I don't stop, I don't fold, I don't break. And then you go out and show them exactly who you are.
Yeah. Saturday. Inglewood. One afternoon, sun out. Still felt like midnight. Joker Ape. The streets teach.
Saturday in Inglewood, sun high, streets cold. Kids in the road, arms locked, 10 years old. Whip look wrong, whole block froze. One wrong turn, now your whole life goes. I don't regret it, that pain made me real. That fear made me sharp, that blood made me feel.
Southside raised me with leather skin. Leather skin, leather heart, built where daylight still get dark. Leather skin, scars, seen hell before my first car. Leather skin,
Joker Ape don't fall, 10 years old when my soul got old.
Leather skin,
no peace, no friend, Inglewood show me nightmares begin. That 10, I seen a homie take 3 in the head. Still scared to sleep in my bed. Stayed awake dreams, kept seeing them dead. Burnt ties in the air after leaving them red. I popped in the left in the engine blast. I stood still watching them slump in the grass. Arms moving, fingers shaking, fighting to breathe. Blood in the mud like the block couldn't grieve. He bought me candy, now who feeds his family? Too young to understand tragedy. My ears rang, I should've been running. Body froze when I saw death coming. Damn, I wasn't supposed to see that shit. Wasn't posting no life leaves quick. Then I thought maybe them shots were for me. Maybe he circled around that street. I looked at Papa Allen like, what happened? He said somebody rolled up and started clapping. Still hear that laugh when the night creeps in. First day I felt leather skin.
sprinklers on, kids running. Black normal till silence started climbing. One loud pop, then the whole world split.
Southside turned the kid to witness.
Yeah. Regular day on the south side, no warning. Kids outside, old heads out mourning. Somebody laughing, frontin' in the park. But even daylight got teeth after dark. I remember dude to run away, getting money kinda loud, had something to say. Diamonds in his ear, watch on his wrist, popcorn in hand like life couldn't switch. Walk behind the girl, tried grabbing her waist. She pushed him off, he threw the bag in her face. She felt disrespected, walked off, heated. Told him she'd be back and he ain't believe it. He called her out, kept laughing with pride. No brothers with him, no tool on his side. Didn't know the dude came from behind. Baseball bat swinging like a stop sign. First hit cracked him, second hit dropped him. Chain popped loose when the pavement caught him. Told him take all that, then walked away. Left the park quiet in the middle of the day. That's how I learned respect at a price. I left to turn blood in the blink of an eye. How streets don't care who started or why. They swallow your name while your people cry. This ain't movie pain, this ain't rap cap. This is real life. When the block snap, young guys seeing old death. Fear living under each breath. That's why I don't scare easy. That's why the cold don't freeze me.
Now my days go by with smoke in the air. Dispensary bags with the pain still there. Every dark corner got a ghost riding with me. Location don't matter, Southside still with me. I'll be there before I act like it didn't shape me. That same damn fear is the thing that made me. If looks could kill, I came from boys in the hood, but I ain't no Scarface. Only blood where we stood. My heart still spills for the kids with nothing. For my cousin, lost slump over the wheel. That wound don't close. The teacher's still. Kids in the street with the arms locked tight, hoping you slow down so they take what they like. Wrong color with wrong block, wrong time. Shots hit metal at 1 in the afternoon shine. Your car look like theirs, now they think you involved. No questions asked when that neighborhood call. That's when nightmares step off the screen and stand face to face with a 10-year-old dream. I don't regret it, no, I carry it proud. Leather skin on my soul, I don't fear a crowd. Joker Ape was born where the fear don't end. Southside made me, then it taught me to bend. But I never broke, I just learned how to stand. With blood in the dirt in my heart, in my hand. You hear pain in my voice.
That ain't pretend. Inglewood turning boys into men.
Leather skin, cold blood.
Young guys,
old mud.
Wrong street,
wrong ride.
One laugh,
one die.
No sleep,
no peace,
no trust,
no leash.
Joker Ape,
still here,
no fear,
no retreat.
Saturday in Inglewood, sun high, streets cold. Kids in the road, arms locked, 10 years old. Whip look wrong, whole block froze. One wrong turn, now your whole life goes.
I don't regret it, that pain made me real. That fear made me sharp, that blood made me feel.
Southside raised me with leather skin. I was 10, remember everything.
The laugh, the shots, grass, the blood. I don't regret it. That's where I learned to love this game. Joker Ape, Southside made me. Inglewood showed me the nightmare was real. Raw. Joker Ape, Joker Ape. Pressure made me, chaos raised me. Don't test what you can't control. Don't fuck with Joker Ape. Don't play with my cage. I turn all this pressure into war in my veins. Bass hit hard, let it shake through the pain. I came from the chaos, now they all know my name. Don't fuck with Joker Ape, bitch, I'm not the same. Smile on my face, but I'm built out of rage. I don't need peace, I need space, I need stage. My cage, my rules, my time, my name. Fucking with a beast keeper, you don't wanna meet this lyrical meat cleaver. Every bar leave them speechless. People keep talking like it ain't even that deep. To the base, hit hard and wake up the whole street. I wouldn't fuck with me either, only heaven can help you. Been searching for respect, like the legend is dead or no failure. Hell of a story when I step in the frame. Joker Ape in the dark, everybody know the name. I got mob ties in my mind, cold grind in my spirit, pain all loud, but they don't wanna hear it. I was built by pressure, baptized by rage, turned every lock door into my own damn state. They said calm down, I said fuck that. They said fall back, I said trust that. I've been too quiet, I've been too nice. Now every damn bar got a butcher knife. Don't fuck with Joker Ape, don't play with my cage. I turned all this pressure into war in my veins. Bass hit hard, let it shake through the pain. I came from the chaos, now they all know my name. Don't fuck with Joker Ape, bitch, I'm not the same. Smile on my face, but I'm built out of rage. I don't need peace, I need space, I need stage. My cage, my rules, my time, my name. Motherfucker, I handle you. Any avenue, average man flipped in to an animal. Heavy with the cadence, every line got attitude. I don't need permission, I was born to break the rules. Reload with precision, every word got ammunition. Dark thoughts spinning like a bad transmission. Break the beat down, you should see the handle. Street talk the child, I ain't read no manuals. Problem child, look what I'm involved in now. Dozen dirty voices in my head get loud. I've been counted out, left broke, left down. Now I walk in the room and make the whole crowd bow. Chasing green was a dream when the nights got wild, but the money never healed what they did to the child. So I built me a monster with a grin in the ground. Joker Ape in the cage, but I own it now. Lock me down, I get louder. Push me back, I get prouder. Pain or gold, that's the power. No fear when the cage starts shaking. On these streets, I'm a beast. I don't feast on the weak, I feast on the doubt. When they thought I wouldn't speak, turn trauma in the thunder, turn silence in the heat. Now the whole damn cage got a pulse from the beat. Sneaky as fuck, I don't think I learned enough. Had to grow up fast when the world got rough. Shut the fuck up when the pressure erupt. I've been carrying pain, now I'm calling this bluff. Who on what? I'm 10 deep in my own mind, 10 different scars from the same old grind. Muscle like a mobster, hands be nasty. I move shaky, I move classy. We ferocious, all focus, no folding. Throw heat from the chest when the beat starts rolling. Soldiers in the dark, everybody get cautious. You don't want smoke with the one they call monstrous. Poof, I'm gone. Poof, I reappear. Laugh too loud when the room don't see clear. Black suit, gold chain, scars in the mirror. Every damn year make the vision more severe. Don't fuck with Joker Ape, don't play with my cage. I turn all this pressure into war in my veins. Bass hit hard, let it shake through the pain. I came from the chaos, now they all know my name. Don't fuck with Joker Ape, bitch, I'm not the same. Smile on my face, but I'm built out of rage. I don't need peace, I need space, I need stage. My cage, my rules, my time, my name. Joker Ape, this ain't rap. This is pressure speaking. This is pain left. This is my cage breaking. My cage, my rules, my time. Fuck what they thought.
Welcome to the cage. Round and round we go.
Hope you're not afraid of heights.
This ride never stops!
Enjoy the fall.
Well, that escalated fast. You haven't seen chaos yet.
Aww, don't leave yet. We're just getting started.
That's